Hi AJ, how are you doing, mate?
Not so bad, Frank. Not so bad. It feels a little bit weird not being in the studio today.
I know, I was just going to say that it's the first time for first time. Yeah, it's the first time for
It's
this.
literally the first time that we have not recorded from within the same studio.
I know. Yeah.
It feels a bit weird. I feel a bit, I don't know, a bit
Yeah.
lonely, a bit Twilight Zone.
Yeah, listen, it'll either work or it'll all fall tumbling down. We don't know, but listen, we'll just get on with it anyway. What have you been up to?
Well, I gave blood this week.
You did what?
I gave blood.
Oh, you gave blood.
I did.
All right. Is that the first? Is it? You've never done that before?
No, I've done it before, but I haven't done it for a few years because of tattoos and all of that malarkey. So it's my first one in a couple of years. Went down to a community hall in Hindley in Wigan, and I sat with a needle in my arm for about 10 minutes, and then I had a chocolate biscuit and some juice. It was lovely.
Did you feel weak at all? Did you feel faint after giving blood?
No. To be honest, I'm quite good with needles. Anyway, so.
No, I just thought that when you take blood out of you, does it drain you a little bit? How much do they take out of you, first of all? Do you know?
A pint.
A pint?
Yeah.
Crikey. Yeah.
I know. As Tony Hancock said, a pint, that's very nearly an armful.
Well, how many pints are in the human body? Is it around about 7?
8, I think.
Is it 8? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's about 8.
Been a long time since I did biology.
I completely stuffed it. I've started to feel a bit woozier sort of a couple of days later, so I had to have a fair bit of sugar into my system. But I got a really nice text from the blood people, so they actually tell you where your donation has gone to, and mine was used in a blood transfusion in Tameside Hospital over the other side of Manchester.
I never knew that, and I didn't know they told you.
Yeah, they do. And you can sort of narrow it down a little bit more in my case, because my blood's a little bit rare in that it doesn't carry a certain kind of pathogen, so it can be used in baby and newborn transfusions. So my blood has actually gone to a newborn baby in Tameside, and that's absolutely mint. It's the only fact about myself that I blow the horn about. But
you don't want to brag about the lack of maturity then?
No, God. No. People can just find that one out when they talk to me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my big event of the week.
Yeah.
What else?
But do you want to know what mine was?
Yeah, go on.
I went to the. You don't sound as though you do.
No, go on.
Yeah. I went to the Southport Flower Show.
You went to the Southport Flower Show?
Yeah, okay. I go to the Southport Flower Show every year without fail.
I didn't know you were all about horticulture.
No, to be honest with you, I've got to be perfectly honest with you there. I don't think I've seen a flower all the time I was there.
God.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, but what we do is we make it a family event every year. So my daughter and my granddaughter came along as well. Because there's lots to do for the young kids there. As you know, it was blazing hot sunshine over the weekend, so it was a really tremendous day. We've got all the picnic gear. We've got the trolley and the cooler boxes and all of that. So we had a picnic. We sat outside the main stage where there was regular music throughout the day. And then we took turns to sort of sit to keep an eye on the gear while individually or one or two of us would go off for a little walk and see what was out and about. There's like the cookery hut or whatever they call it, where they give demonstrations on cooking, and quite often the stars of TV that are doing the cooking. So nice. Yeah, I spent a lovely day in the sunshine at Southport Southport Flower Show. Yeah, wow. Enjoyed it.
Cute. Oh, I like that. That sounds good. Well, while you were doing that, I think I was relaying the flagging in my garden.
How good are you at that?
I'm starting to learn how to mix cement.
All right, so you're not that good at it yet.
I'm getting there, all right. Just got a bit of an idea.
The reason I'm asking is you could come down and help me with a bit of flagging.
Oh, all right. Well, I can probably manage. I mean, if you've got a spirit level, a cement mixer, some sand, some cement, a hose pipe, could try.
I just use my eye.
I mean, good luck with that.
I know,
We're not exactly ground force, and you have reading glasses, so I mean.
Well, I've got a brick-built barbecue here. I've never used it, but next time you're down, next week when you're down, you can have a look at it, and you'll know the reasons why it's never been used.
There it is.
Because I use my eyes rather than the spirit level. I got fed up in the end and just threw it up. Now it's a monument in the garden.
No, it's a monument. It's a little statue. You abandoned the gargoyles and the stone lions and just went for a barbecue instead.
Yeah, that's what I did. Listen, we're gonna have to call it a day now, aren't we? And start recording the show because we've got a lot to get through, haven't we?
Yeah, well, we're not calling it a day, Franklin. We're actually getting down to business.
Right.
Can't keep these listeners waiting anymore. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer AJ the Jet. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the Northwest, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the Northwest counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and a warm welcome to the 7th episode of the 2nd season of the Speaking Frankly Football Show, and an even warmer welcome to the dulcet tones of my co-host AJ.
Hello, Frank. Yeah, just the dulcet tones. He's not giving a welcome to actually me in person.
No.
You know, my spirit or anything like that.
No.
Just me voice, because without that, this show would be an awful lot different. So, yes, thanks very much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show. We are clearly not going anywhere anytime soon because you guys all seem to love it, so we must be doing something right. So on today's show, we're going to be checking in on Morecambe FC and some brilliant news coming out of coastal Lancashire there. We're going to look at a new figurehead in the stands at Burscough. We're going to be looking at an empty figurehead at Nelson FC. And then we're also going to go around the grounds and give our expert predictions and go over the results, as well as checking in on Skem United. So all of that is to come. And we'll have Joey Burns, the manager of Maghull. He will be featuring in the show in part 2. We've got plenty to look forward to today.
Yeah, most definitely is. And listen, you probably know it from the intro there that we're actually doing this via WhatsApp. So AJ is remote. And if there's a little bit of clicking in the background, we just can't avoid this little bit of feedback, unfortunately. But for reasons as mentioned earlier on, we just can't get into the studio together. Did we mention the reason why we couldn't? Can't remember.
No, so we've mentioned it in part 2, but I don't think we've mentioned it in oh, have we mentioned it in part 1? This was about 7 minutes ago, and I have absolutely no recollection of whether we've said it at all. But anyway...
I certainly can't say it in part 2, because we haven't recorded part 2 yet, have we?
Yeah, no, we haven't. There is illness in my family, so I decided not to risk passing it on to Frank. So
Yeah.
I'm going remote today. It's a little bit like the lockdown YouTube podcasts and FaceTime episodes that you saw in the weird year of 2020. So we're throwing it back by half a decade. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But listen, first, top story of the sort of the week, and sad news to report, unfortunately, is Joel Anker's. Joel sustained a broken leg just 3 weeks into the season on Saturday. A summer signing for Wythenshawe. He's sustained the injury in a tackle which was described as quite vicious at the end of the game against Vauxhall Motors. Motors were leading 3-2 in the FA Cup preliminary round at the time. Listen, we'd like to wish Joel a speedy recovery. In the replay last Tuesday, the Wythenshawe beat Vauxhall 2-0. A bittersweet moment for the club, do you say, Joe? AJ? Joe's going to call you Joe then.
A very bittersweet moment, I think, for both clubs, but particularly for Wythenshawe. From what I'd heard, Joel had made a really encouraging start to the season for Wythenshawe as they were gearing up for life back in the northwest counties. They've gone to Vauxhall Motors, who are a league above them. Is it one league above them? Mm-hmm. And behind 3-2. Ironically enough, this tackle, which ended the game prematurely, happened in the 89th minute of the game. And it does beg a little bit of a question as to why. I know that 90 minutes weren't played, but I think there is a ruling that if more than half the game is played, then the referee has the discretion about whether he wants to abandon the game or actually just finish the game and award the result to the team that's winning at the time. It's a bit of a contentious issue, but nonetheless, Wythenshawe getting some measure of revenge by winning 2-0 at Vauxhall in the replay. So on they go into the FA Cup. Is it the
first qualifying round here?
Well,
yeah. We'll come to the FA Cup later on in the show, because this week is the start of the FA Vars as well, which we'll talk about later. But listen, like we said there at the top of the show, we wish Joel a speedy recovery. Not nice at all when you get that kind of injury, and let's hope he gets back to playing as soon as he's fully fit again.
Most certainly.
Now, it's the Burscough Football Club story that you picked up over the weekend.
Yes, I did, and I picked it up with a little bit of how could I put this? Disheartenment. I'm not actually making the BBC myself. So this story concerns a young football fan from Burscough who stepped in to provide cover as the stadium announcer. So when Burscough put out an SOS this summer, 13-year-old James, whose dad Richard volunteers as a kit man at Burscough, he put his hand up. And Richard said that while James was nervous announcing the teams in front of about 100 fans at his first game, his son hit his stride on Saturday during his second match at the mic. He made it his own, Richard explained. Everyone commented how amazing he was. He said his son's performance was akin to the emphatic style typically employed by boxing commentators during big fights. Everyone, including his mum and me, was really pleased at how he took it in his stride, Richard said. He was in his element. James, who is a Burscough fan, he's a Liverpool fan, but I'm sure a Burscough fan as well. He read out Burscough players' names to a crowd of more than 100 fans. James said he found the experience very good and will appear behind the mic at Burscough's next home games. I've always wanted to do it and be a sports reporter, said the young teenager. I got loads of compliments. And to top it off, Burscough beat Longridge Town by 2-1. Now, I'm really impressed. The 13-year-old had the courage and the tenacity to stand up, take a mic into his hand on a match day and call out the names of the players. That takes a lot of guts, and I applaud him. Still waiting for my interview from the BBC, the Manchester Evening News, even the Ormskirk Rag. None of them have got in touch with me, and most people are saying that stadium announcers are actually middle-aged old blokes. And I'm very offended by that. I'm not middle-aged. I'm not an old bloke. I speak with the same tenacity as a 13-year-old does, maybe even a little bit more.
You get a little bit worked up there, aren't you?
Honestly, I took over the job about halfway through the season for Skem, and I was excellent. And
yeah, but listen, maybe now that people know that you've got a rare kind of pathogen in your blood, you might make the headlines yet.
Oh, possibly. And you need to.
You'll have to do something a little bit different to what the current crop of commentators are doing.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to do that when quite clearly somebody's, this young fella's started doing the boxing sort of style of commentary.
Yeah. Well, listen, I used to do the stadium announcements myself once upon a time when we were at the Stormy Corner, and I used to shout. I used to shout and scream.
Oh, God. I mean, I know that you need to project your voice as a stadium announcer.
I certainly projected mine, I'll tell you.
Well,
but listen,
there's no need for them to hear you all the way over in Apley Bridge. Just a bit of noise.
But listen, isn't it a refreshing story? And it's nice to know.
Yeah.
Listen, you wouldn't get this any higher up the non-league echelons of football, would you? You certainly wouldn't get it in the Football League. So it's very refreshing to see a young lad give it a go.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I think it encourages the next generation of fans wanting to get involved with football at this level and finding that it's not quite as enigmatic and unfamiliar as what it appears to be from far away. So very well done to James. We give him huge props. That's a lot. That takes a lot of guts. Fair play to you, mate. You've done really, really well.
Yeah, well done. Listen, we'll move on to Nelson Football Club now. Gerry Harrison has left his role as manager of Nelson Football Club following two heavy defeats to Holker, 5-0, and a 5-1 to Maghull at the weekend. Sandwiched in between those defeats, they won their game against AFC Blackpool 2-1. But I guess after conceding 11 goals in 3 games, this simply wasn't good enough for the ambitious chairman, Chris Price. They were certainly the high rollers last season, and one assumes that's still the case this season. They've only recently signed high-scoring centre-forward Nicholas Heppel. Nick signed for at least 3 clubs during the summer. Garforth and Ramsbottom were the other 2. Quite odd, but another manager meets his maker.
But yeah, and it's the first one to go this season, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there is some surprise about that. He took them into the playoffs. He took them to the runners-up spot. I think they went toe-to-toe with Atherton LR last season. So you would hope that gave Gerry enough credit in the bank to be able to restart the season and kick on. Obviously lost top goal scorer Charlie Frost.
You'd have thought Nick was a good replacement, wouldn't you?
Well, not only Nick, but his brother Luke has joined as well.
I didn't know that.
From AFC Blackpool. Luke crossed over earlier on in the summer, and then Nick joined very, very recently. And they both started the game against Maghull, but unfortunately they made very little of an impact. And bearing in mind that Nelson still have Max Kane up front as well, the other one of the much vaunted strike pairing from Nelson. So a lot of questions to be asked. But I mean, we're what, about 4 games into the season, and Gerry Harrison has already gone. I think that's bitterly disappointing, both for Gerry and I suppose for the club as a whole. It doesn't make them look particularly loyal, and in fact, if anything, they probably look a little bit more trigger happy with how they're going about their business.
There's a lot of money in this game at this level as well, so you could probably understand why some chairmen are a little bit more trigger happy than others.
Would that make Chris Price this league's Roman Abramovich, do you think?
Listen, you don't really know. Listen, they finished second place last season. They were beaten by the eventual playoff finalists, Exton in the semi-finals. So, listen, they did really, really well last season, but I think they were expecting to go up automatically. It never happened for them. Yeah. I think when you're looking at the beginning of the season, you already know whether it's some of the same old as last season, and maybe they've made the decision off the back of that. Listen, we're here to be shot all the time, as a chairman of a football club, but sometimes we've got to make those tough decisions. I think based on the fact that they didn't quite manage to get to the playoff finals last season, will have played a big part in that.
Yeah, I think you're right, but you have to kind of beg the question really as to who comes in and manages players of this caliber and the big stars of this league. Your Heppel brothers, your Max Canes. Who harnesses these individuals to become a team that can win the league. And is there enough time to turn it around? I know we're quite early in the season, but results do matter.
I take it we've not heard who the likely replacement is. I've not heard anything up to this point of view.
No, neither have I. It's all quiet on that front.
Well, listen. We'll move on to York City. How about this for commitment? 2 fans flew more than 400 miles to see their football team win a non-league match. Pilot David and brother Richard Bower hired a plane to fly from Yorkshire to Cornwall, and they were widely recognised after the Mirror told their story this week. York City beat Truro 2-0, and David said, "We had an absolutely fantastic day, and a York City win made the whole trip worthwhile. Everyone was great. We had a really friendly welcome, and lots of people heard we had flown down. City fans, Truro fans, and even the refueler and the handling man at the airport knew about us." David is 62. He's a private pilot. He paid a substantial sum to hire the Piper Warrior, and he said it was well worth it. I wonder whether he'd have been saying the same thing if they'd have been on the end of a defeat.
I mean, he went to Cornwall. Most disappointments can be alleviated by going to Cornwall. Have you been there? Absolutely amazing place. And it's probably cheaper than the train. I mean, if you've seen train prices recently, you'll know that it's absolutely outrageous. So it was probably cheaper to hire the Piper Warrior, and they may have even got some in-flight food, a bag of crisps or something while they were at 20,000 feet or whatever.
It doesn't actually say whether they flew back. I mean, if you'd have gone down to Cornwall, if you'd have flown down there, you'd have wanted to stay there for a week or two, wouldn't you? All-inclusive somewhere.
You absolutely would have. Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%, you'd want to stay at an Airbnb or something, of which there are plenty to be had in Cornwall. What a brilliant experience that must have been for David and Richard. I don't think they'll be doing it for many other games, to be honest. I can't see them flying to Kidderminster, to be quite honest with you.
No, I'd love to know what it cost them. Maybe we should even try and get them on the show.
I think it'd be pretty decent to know how the logistics worked out of telling Cornwall Airport that they were coming into land.
Well, like I say, maybe it's maybe the 2 people we should get on the show at some stage. Be interesting.
It may be. I wonder how much more they would have to. They would be able to say. To be honest, I don't think we've ever had anybody outside of football coming in and talking on the show.
Well, we did have the fan from Blythe Spartans.
Well, yeah, but I suppose you're right. But even then, that was about football. That wasn't about flying a plane. Yeah,
but this is a story about dedication to your football club. Flying all the way to... it's got to be a substantial cost. There's got to be
Of
a
course,
huge cost.
Yeah, I mean, driving down to Cornwall takes you about 6 hours anyway. To get from Yorkshire is even further.
Yeah.
So
Depends
yeah.
who's driving, like, because I think it's taken me about 12 hours one time to drive all the way to Cornwall.
Oh, swipe me. I mean, I think the best I did it in was about 6.5, maybe 7. But we did have a couple of stops along the way. I did drive to Cardiff in one go though. That was bonkers, but that was only 4 hours.
Do you remember the fuel crisis? Do you remember when the fuel lorries were slowing down on the motorways and what have you on the roads? They were doing a protest.
That was what, 2021, or was it?
I thought it was earlier than that, but I might be wrong. But I just remember it because I was actually driving down to Cornwall at the time. I was on the A30, and we were on a slow drive protest behind them.
Oh God! Yeah. You must have been furious.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic time. a holiday to remember. Anyway, listen, more good news, and I'll let you pick up on this story. But great news finally for Morecambe.
Yeah, amazing. So the Panjab Warriors have finally signed the agreement with the bond investors and are now officially the new owners of Morecambe Football Club, following very long, protracted, maybe even tortuous talks back and forth between the two bodies. Morecambe are now set up to open their campaign in the National League. The name Jason Whittingham, I suppose it's fair to say, will always be a stain on the club, as many people believed he would have happily taken the club into extinction. Now, Panjab Warriors' first entry in and contribution into the club is a little bit questionable, as they've sacked their loyal, long-serving manager, Derek Adams. So Derek Adams was in his third stint at the club, had previously helmed the club when they made it all the way into League One. Derek even helped a member of Morecambe's staff pay their rent during the long, drawn-out ownership saga when wages weren't getting paid. It does go to show that there is no such thing as loyalty in football, and highlights the fact that Panjab aren't hanging around and clearly mean business. Meanwhile, Morecambe immediately have announced the replacement for Derek Adams, and that is of Ashveer Singh Johal. So he's the first ever Asian English
Sikh manager?
Sikh manager, that's the one, thank you. And it's his first ever managerial role in England, and at the age of 30 as well. He worked under Colo Torre at Wigan and as an assistant to Cesc Fabregas at Italian side Como. But this is his first foray into first team management. So how do we think it's going to go?
Well, I don't know. Now the question is, now the spotlight has been very much on the Bond Group and Jason Whittingham, but my question is about Panjab Warriors now. Who are they? I mean, we don't know a great deal about them, and then you listen, as you've just said there, they've made quick. A quick appointment. They've brought Ashveer to the football club, sacked Derek Adams straight away. I think another one of the coaching staff was made redundant today as well. But yeah, my question really is about Panjab Warriors. Who are they?
So, from what I've been able to understand, they are they're an investment group, a sports-related investment group. They're not based in Morecambe. I think they're based in London, somewhere like that. They are effectively an investment firm that back sports teams and elite sporting ventures. So they say. So they obviously Morecambe, I think, probably represents their biggest investment to date. But I'm not sure how what other investments they are able to do. I don't think they have an enormous kind of catalogue of investments themselves, but they do have, mission statements, plenty about actively engaging with fans, business and volunteers to build strong connections, become a beacon of football excellence and community unity, and create a stable club that fosters community pride. So all very, very encouraging sentences. And whilst Morecambe FC kind of represents the biggest headline act of the Panjab Warriors investment group, I don't know if there have any further dealings this big.
Do you think they should have hung on a little bit longer to Derek Adams? Do you think that raises more questions now? Jumping out of the frying pan into the deep pan fryer?
Yeah, I do. So I think what Derek Adams was, as much of a kind of cornerstone of loyalty and consistency in a club that was, lurching about from existence to non-existence. I think he was the one who was the mainstay and offered hope where there wasn't any. He's conducted himself really well. He's tried to not get involved with what's been going on off the pitch and solely focused on his job on it. Like I say, his achievements with Morecambe FC speaks for itself, but possibly more importantly, right now, he was acting as a bridge between the two foundations, Panjab Warriors and Morecambe FC, and through him, I feel like the owners and the fans and all the other non-playing staff would have probably built a connection.
I think they've already gone on record. They stated, or someone did state before, before when they fell through the first time round, that they weren't going to retain the services of Derek Adams. So I think it was always there. I think they were well warned, or he certainly was.
Well, he may have been, but even if he was, he's conducted himself with a lot of dignity. If he knew that, he still stayed just to oversee a bit of a transition phase between the two parties. But what this does mean now is that the club can start their domestic football season, which is at home to Altrincham. Whilst is it Altrincham? No, it's not. It's an away game. Pardon me. Against. Ooh.
Still a lot of clicking in the background there, AJ.
Oh, sorry about that, Frank. Anyway,
it's probably you tapping your finger on the phone.
I don't know about that more. Well, yeah, maybe.
Oh, no, that picks it up.
Anyway, the season will get underway.
Well, we know the embargo's been lifted, so they can actually start recruiting players, but they haven't got a great deal of time, have they?
No, they haven't. It is going to be a bit of a scramble squad until of free agents, I suppose, until they can at least get to January, when some more investing can begin. But I quite honestly, I think Morecambe are grateful enough to have the game and the season go underway.
Yeah, well, listen, it's certainly great that they're going to stay in business, but if I was a supporter now, I think the jury would still be out. I think there might be a little bit more to this story further down the line. I hope I'm wrong.
I think you're probably right. I mean, the manager installation himself is one kind of major cause for.
It's an odd one.
Ashvir Singh Johal. But I suppose in another way, he represents a bit of an unknown name and a bit of a gamble, akin to somebody like Maurizio Pochettino when he first came to Tottenham, or Robert De Zerbi when he went to Brighton. Both of them worked absolute wonders at their respective clubs. So it's probably worth giving him a chance.
I'm not saying it can't work. I certainly hope it does. But if I was a supporter of the club, I think the jury would still be out for me.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah.
But listen, best of luck to Morecambe. The very fact that they're going to be playing again on Saturday and they've been saved from extinction is really, really tremendous. So well done to all those involved in making that happen.
Yeah, huge well done to everybody who's managed to contribute to saving Morecambe FC, and he's hoping for a very prospective season ahead of them.
Yep, certainly. And listen, moving on to a little bit of bad news again, if you like, but a statement from Ashton United's board of directors. It's been brought to our attention that during Saturday's match, a small group of Ashton United fans were singing pro-Tommy Robinson songs during the match. We utterly condemn this behaviour in the strongest terms. It has no place in football or society. Not only is it completely at odds with our values as a club, but it also undermines the efforts of everyone at Ashton United, including our players, staff and volunteers who work tirelessly to create a warm and inclusive family club. If you are identified as having done this, you will be banned. Anyone using racist, homophobic or discriminatory language of any kind will be removed from the stadium and banned. Ashton is a community club that strives to bring people together and foster an environment where everyone is welcome. We have zero tolerance policy to any discriminatory or antisocial behaviour. Yet again, we're still talking about similar stories.
We certainly are. I mean, I picked this up a few days ago on the first game of the Premier League season, when a player from Crystal Palace was racially abused by a fan at the Liverpool end of the stadium, and now we are having to deal with it again. So I think Ashton United have absolutely put out the right message there. That football is a inclusive society, and racist, homophobic, discriminatory language is absolutely intolerable. But unfortunately, politics and football, it does mix for the better and for the worse. But it's just the responsibility of the footballing community and those who represent the individual clubs to stamp this out as soon as possible.
And listen, we've had their vice chairman on, Steve Hobson, early in last season's podcast. Very well run club, and like you say, they're just it annoys the fact that it lets down all the good people at that football club. Just a few people can do so much damage. Really, really wrong.
Yeah, very much so.
Listen, we'll move on to a more sort of controversial story as well. Leeds versus Everton. I was watching that on Monday. With the game thinly balanced at 0-0, Leeds were awarded a penalty when James Tarkowski intercepted a shot with his upper arm despite having his arms tucked in. Now, I was watching the game with my son, James, and I immediately said to him, the penalty will stand because he's leaned into the ball. Now, Tarkowski has said as soon as the ref blew, I was pretty confident it was going to get overturned, he told Sky Sports. My first question was, if my arm is by my side, is it a penalty? And he said no. I've since read I leaned into the ball, but there was nothing unnatural about my arm being in by my side. I can't understand it. It's bizarre. Manager Dave Moyes has also described the decision as wrong. But was it? And I think he went further and said, bar cutting both arms off, what can he actually do? By the letter of the law, it was a penalty, but I think the biggest question is why, more often than not, this kind of decision is overturned. The inconsistency is the issue, do you think?
Yes and no. So actually, this is an issue that we'll talk about a little bit detail in the third part of the show. But one of the fans at the Joey Orr's Skem game stopped the referee to ask him why a penalty hadn't been awarded for a handball that took place in that game. And the referee said that by the letter of the law, there are 3 aspects to the gameplay that they are looking at when looking at a handball. Is the arm in a natural position? Could the player realistically get out of the way or adjust his body? And what speed was the ball going at the time of the connection to the hand? So if you look at it from that respect, the speed of the ball, it was quite normal, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't exactly a rocket,
no.
but it wasn't a soft shot either. But I think the body positioning is where Tarkowski was undone, unfortunately, and to be shown to be leaning into the ball. And I suppose if you combine the letters of the law in those instances with also the fact that every single penalty scenario is going to be different, and so it requires the interpretation of the body position from the referee at that time. That's why there may very well be an inconsistency in the issue.
And if he'd have turned away from it, he'd have been damned if he did or he didn't, because then the fans would have been on his back and said, "Why the hell have you moved out of the way of the ball?"
Yeah, this is true. I suppose the only thing that you can do really is try and adjust yourself to get your arms out of the way. But as you say, impossible it can be sometimes.
Yeah, but I just think the inconsistency is because that, like seven times out of 10 in the Premier League, that gets overturned.
Yeah, but I think it takes. I don't know. I wonder if the referees and the PGMOL have to be shown to be clamping down on these kind of inconsistencies, and whether the referee has to be shown to be making a bit of a statement there by giving it.
So if the referee doesn't pick up on it, does it still go to VAR? So if he's not seen anything, would it still go to VAR?
Yes, it would.
So in that respect, then, if it goes to VAR, does it become a penalty or not a penalty when they make the decision? Is it because the referee has already said it's a penalty?
Yeah. I think regardless of the referee's decision, if there is a reasonable belief that the handball has taken place, the VAR have to step in and look at it regardless of the referees.
Okay, further to that question then, if the referee says it's no penalty, it still goes to VAR.
Yes.
VAR overturn his decision and say it's a penalty?
I think they can do, yeah.
But do they? Will they? That's the question, because I don't think they would. I think they'd go with the referee, and I think they've just gone with the referee because he's called a penalty. And listen, it was a penalty.
I've only ever seen it happen once, and that was the PSG Man United game in 2019. The referee initially gave a corner, and it took a little bit of a while for VAR to get involved, and then the referee went over to the monitor and then gave a penalty afterwards. So I think even if the referee hadn't have spotted that, I think the VAR would have absolutely picked up on it and probably swayed the referee to change his mind.
I don't know. I'm not so certain. But listen, we'll leave that one there because we'd no doubt be revisiting that, like you said, at the end of the show, because we had a similar decision as you've explained before. But listen, we'll move on to the final part of this first part of the show, and we'll talk about keyboard warriors. Now, first, the definition. Someone who posts angry messages or likes to get into arguments on the internet. Now, recent comments on social media have forced me into defending the club. Now, I wouldn't normally go into a defensive mode as the best way to deal with this section of society. So I'd normally let them run out of steam, but occasionally I believe it's good to clear the air. In fairness, on this occasion, 2 people in particular have used their own names and not hidden behind pseudonyms. So I applaud them for that. at the very least. Listen, there'll always be a desire to vent frustrations, and that feeling of power and safety behind the screen often shows a lack of real-life social skills or engagement. People won't like me for saying that. I don't doubt for 1 minute that the same people wouldn't say the same things to me face, but that is the point, really. I'd sooner sit down with someone face-to-face and have the conversation rather than scrap it out on social media. But I think their problem, and I repeat, their problem is that my argument is backed up with fact, where theirs is purely frustration. And if they sit down with me, they've lost the power that they desire. Opinions aren't worth the paper that are written on when the facts are presented. I just thought, what do you actually think about Keyboard Warriors?
I think they're a bit parasitical, to be honest, unless they are backed up with facts. Then I suppose maybe you'd just be talking to a bit of a brick wall. So we've seen it pretty much across the entire span of the length of time I've been involved with Skelmersdale United, which has been just over a year, and we've dealt with numerous people, trying to generate arguments or throw obscenities at us. And it's, you can kind of pass off the ones who, just say stupid things, just because I think that they are looking for an axe to grind and, try and trigger a representative from the club into fighting back within their own way. I think
the latest remark, that the reason why we're talking about this now is over the posting of a league table.
Yeah.
And basically saying this doesn't look very good for the football club. Now, up and down the country, right across social media, newspaper outlets, anywhere you go, TV, you witness it. Even at the beginning of the season, when the first game was played, they still put a league table up. So I don't see what the problem was by our media guy putting the league standings up on the socials.
No, certainly not. He absolutely should do that. This is
he's doing his job.
It's an enormous season for us. Yeah, he's doing a really good job. But this is a big season for us, and it's really important that we actually have and are in possession of an outlet that keeps our fans up to date on everything to do with Skem on and off the pitch, and that includes the league table. The FA site might be one way to do it, but and it shows it there. So why shouldn't we? Unfortunately, that table shows us being in a position where we don't want to be in, but it is where we are. And all it is just informative. So I don't understand why anybody got triggered over that.
And reporting the facts as such. And what we do know is that it's not very easy to get the information. Because there's less publicity surrounding the Liverpool County Premier League, and it's navigating the sort of the FA.com page as well is a bit difficult. So all we're doing is trying to make it easier for supporters. One, to get used to the names of the teams that were playing in that particular division, but to keep them abreast with the news as well. And often when we're sometimes criticised for not giving out enough information, which was the previous Keyboard Warrior was relating to. So we're doing exactly that and still getting blasted for it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, to be quite honest. But the guy in question clearly wasn't a supporter of the club. He went from saying that this isn't helpful to saying that we don't deserve support, to then saying that we wouldn't dare say these kind of things to his face. So it kind of spiraled beyond just having a a healthy debate about the relevance of a football table, and then went to, I'm going to hit you if you say that to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, more specifically, he actually turned around and said, you wouldn't say something, profanity to me face. And then I posted, I would, and in brackets then I put down my name because I'd written it on behalf of the football club. And I was waiting for, because he said if I turned up to the game tonight, you wouldn't say anything to me face. Well, I was at the game on Tuesday night and he wasn't. So amazing. But listen,
there we go. But I think it just shows that keyboard warriors are, a parasite amongst clubs that aren't necessarily doing well, and we will get them, unfortunately. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't deflate us, and it doesn't derail us from our objective. It probably just loses us a little bit more support from, in inverted commas, fans.
More surprisingly, I think this man's either in his late 40s, early 50s, and you'd think he'd know a little bit better.
As I've come to understand it, there are men in their 40s and 50s who have no idea how to behave in a matter relative to their age.
Maybe you should go back to school and learn a thing or two.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good way of looking at it. But
or just come and support Schem. Come and support Schem. You throw your fiver, in the turnstile there, and you help. You'd help them generate money and improving the football club, rather than be the complete opposite way and trying to harm the football club from a social media perspective. And it can, it can. We know that it has in the past. It can certainly have an impact on potential sponsorships and even people just saying to themselves, I'm going to, fancy getting down to Marine at some stage during the season to watch Schem. They read all that on there and they think it's a really toxic place to go. But when we're all together, it's the complete opposite. The supporters that have stuck with us through thick and thin are all extremely friendly, happy people, well-adjusted, clever.
Yeah, we had a really good group of about 20 of them turning up to the away game against Joey Oars, which we'll come to, and they shouted as one in unison for just about every single event that went through Schem at that match. They were truly exemplary, and a credit to the club.
Yeah, and listen, we'll come to that. Like you say, in the third part of the show. But this is the end of the first part of the show. In the second part, we will be interviewing Joey Burns, who's the manager of Maghull. We'll speak to you after the commercial break. A heartfelt shout out to all the businesses supporting Skelmersdale United Football Club, especially T&W Garners and Pedro de Seda Enterprises. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles, lottery bonus ball scheme and the weekly draw in conjunction with NYCBA. A special thanks to those who organise such fundraising events, with a particular mention for the incredible Lee Davis and Rowena Hughes. To everyone who stands by us both on and off the pitch, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutbfc@gmail.com or alternatively call me on 077 66054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the second part of the Speaking Frankly football show, and a warm welcome to our special guest Joey Burns, who's the manager of Maghull. First of all, Joey, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Listen, for those that don't know you very well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Football in terms, or sort of involved in a football way, or
yeah, how you started out really. What started out on how you started out on your journey in football?
Well, I've always grew up in it, to be honest. I've always grew up with football in the family. My dad was the eldest of 6 lads from down on Vauxhall Road, Burlington Street, Elton Street. And they were all, apart from one who sort of went into the music, they were all good footballers. So my dad played. I used to get dragged with him on a Saturday afternoon where he used to play for some of the teams down on Scotland Road. The Cunard, the Clifford, Lee Joneses. I think he had spells when I was younger with the Canada, the Crocky Legion, teams like that. So it's always been around me, football, and from a very young age I went with me dad. Used to take me every week. If we wasn't going to watch Everton, I was going to watch him. And then he ended up managing. With Peter Kenny, who's sort of well known in the area as well. They managed a couple of the pub teams, and he managed Lee Jones as well on a Saturday afternoon, which was a really decent side back then. And I sort of grew up watching them until he stopped playing, stopped managing, and then I just carried on sort of playing myself. Played right the way through school, and then left school. And used to play in the pits on Scotland Road, so I wasn't really involved in a team, only the school team and like junior sides. And I carried on playing, and I was playing in the pits, and a fella called Norman Ellis, who's a referee in the pits. He still does the goals and stuff. He asked me to go up to Aintree Villa. I sort of went up to Aintree Villa when I was 16, 17. Spent a couple of years there. Then the manager moved from there to Maghull. I went to Maghull. Then I spent a bit of time playing for the Waterloo Dock on a Saturday, and then I also played on a Sunday. I had a spell at the Brit on a Sunday, just when we won the National Cup and done the treble. I wasn't really in the team. I was very rarely in the squad, to be honest. I was only a young kid coming through. But my mate played for them, John Morgan. So spent time playing for them. Also played for the Sands on a Sunday, and then we got a local team with all our mates, and called the Eagle, and we done quite well. Went through the Liverpool leagues, won a couple of the lower cups until we got to the Premier Division, which was tough. And then we disbanded and went back to join with the Brit. Finished up playing. I went to the Waterloo Dock for a bit, left the Waterloo Dock, and then finished up playing on a Saturday for Formby when Gary Martindale was the manager.
Ex-Burscough player, isn't he?
Ex-Burscough player, so... Gary played with my uncle Paul Burns, the two of them. So one of my dad's younger brothers, Paul Burns, he was an ex-Burscough player. He won the FA Trophy at Villa Park. I was actually at the game. Yeah. I think Gary Martindale scored 2. Well, Gary Martindale might have scored 1, and Lawless might have scored 1. I'm not sure, unless Gary got 2. But they beat Tamworth at Villa Park, and I think it was 2002. So yeah, I've had football. I've always been involved with football. But I finished playing for Gary at Formby, and I just carried on playing Sundays, which Gary didn't really understand at the time, because Formby were in the Northwest Counties, and he was saying you should be playing, I was getting a few bob, nothing much, 30 quid, something like that, 30, 40 quid back then, to play, and I just chose to play Sunday football with my mates, 2 birds, 1 stone. I could have a pint after the game, and I could spend the Saturday with the kids and less earache at the time, really. Yeah. So and then I went into managing then, mate, at a young age, because the managers left the Eagle. I took over when I was 28. First management when I was 28, which is young, and I done that for a couple of years. And Maghull asked me to come up, because I'd played for Maghull for a long time under John McGuinness. He asked me to play, come up and play for them. Come up and manage them. And I turned the opportunity down at first, and then he asked me to go up a year later to be the assistant to a lad called Matt Potter.
Yeah, we know Matt well.
Matt, and then I was doing the assistant job with Matt. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I did doing the managing, so I sort of left. And then about a month later, Maghull asked me to go up and be part of ways with Matt, and I sort of took the job there at Maghull, and I've been there ever since. This is my 10th year at Maghull, and we've sort of gone, the club's gone from strength to strength, and
Well, I remember the club from sort of ages back, really, during the once upon a time. Obviously they spent a 25-year exile in the West Cheshire League. When I was involved with Schem United football in the Northwest Counties, I remember quite an uproar at the end of the 1998-99 season when they were kicked out of the Northwest Counties due to ground grading criteria. Were you involved with the club playing during that period of time?
No, that was before I started playing for them. I didn't start playing for Maghull until probably about 2003, 2004. I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's when I played for them. So I wasn't involved at that time, but I know that they come out of the league due to the ground grading, and it went in the West Cheshire League.
So you're well aware of what's happened in the history. How difficult do you think that journey's been to get back to the counties?
It's been really tough. It's been tough because once they come out of the league, I know a lot of people were disappointed and downhearted. They chose to play the football in the West Cheshire, and then it's always been difficult, really. Committee-run club. You know how hard it is yourself to get the finances to push yourself back up, because at that time, to get the floodlights and to get everything else that you needed FA grants for, there's probably more grants involved in football now than there ever has been. They're still also difficult to get, to be honest, but I think the club went through a period of stagnation, really, I'd say, where they just sort of settled, they played the football. Don't get me wrong, they've won stuff in that time while they've been in the West Cheshire. They've won a couple of Pike Cups, they've won the league under John Brannig and Phil Stafford. So they have done okay, and when I took over 10 years ago, taken over from the likes of Matt, who'd done well, and Phil Stafford the time before him, it's been difficult because when you're in that sort of step 7 level, the step 6 and the step 5 teams are always trying to circulate on the next up and coming players, and we lost a lot of players over that time, Frank. You get picked apart in the counties team. It's just the food chain of the football, isn't it? Oh yeah. You get picked apart, and you have some good players and good lads, and they're just gone. Yeah, they're gone because they want to play in the counties. It's difficult,
Yeah, we're definitely feeling that ourselves at the moment.
Yeah, we certainly are.
It's difficult.
Yeah, it really is. So, what was kind of the turning point then that got you guys back into the Northwest Counties? Was there a point where sort of you and the chair sat down and decided this is what we're going to do, or was it by stroke of luck?
No, I think when I first took the job, John McGuinness, who's massively involved in the club, I'd say he's like the football and sort of director who sits above everything football related. And when I took the job, I don't think they had as big as a junior section. We only had the reserves. John sort of played for the club, managed the club, and he wanted to springboard the club. He wanted to push them back into the counties, and he had a bit of a vision. He had a bit of a dream where he wanted to try and get the club back to where he wanted. And I don't think at the time, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that John didn't have the help around him to do it, and he actually left his position a year after asking me to take the job, which I was a bit gutted about because he brought me in, and then he was suddenly gone. But he was only gone for a short period. And I think when he agreed to come back because he wanted to try and push them, improve the youth team, get a ladies team, if we get it under 23s as well as a reserves. And he wanted to revitalise the club and really push. And it was John, really. John, and probably with the support of the chairman, Ronnie Young, who's pushed this forward. And that's not taking anyone away from anyone on the committee who's also sort of tried to get us there. But John definitely has been the sort of the pivotal figure within the club to push us back where they wanted to be, which was within the counties. And you hear of all these rumours of the neighbours at Maghull didn't want the lights and they didn't want this and they didn't want that, but they were all sort of mythical stories. Nothing was factual. It was sort of created through rumours. And John done a lot of work and brought people in. He created like a football management committee that could support in every aspect with commercials and planning permission and dealing with the council and dealing with all the red tape. And he's been instrumental, to be honest, to get us back to the counties. And I'm so glad for him that we're back there now. And last season, up and down season, with the season we started okay. So fair play to him. Hats off. I don't think any of them would have happened without John McGuinness. So, credit where credit's due. John's pushed the club, massively over that period of time. Again, supported by the chicken Ronnie Young and the committee behind them. But someone needs to push it sometimes, don't they? And it's been John who's doing that.
Listen, it's certainly great to see you back in the Northwest Counties. So a 10th place finish in your first season back was a great return. I noticed on your wiki page that one of your highlights of the season was beating Droylsden and Darwin and battering us 7-1. Now, I remember the game. I remember the game well, but unfortunately, I couldn't see most of the match due to the fog. And I was secretly hoping the game would be called off at half-time when we were 4-0 down. But listen, the return of the M58 derby after all those years was a welcome sight for both clubs, and it was. I'm sure it's victories like that stamped your arrival back on the scene. But before the season started, you were going into the unknown. Did you have an established team, and did that give you belief to do well?
We was going into the unknown, and just on the season before that, I brought, Joe Doran to come in with me. Joe Doran, an ex-Bootle manager, a fantastic footballing person, very knowledgeable, very experienced, and he come in with me, and we set a plan out to sort of try and win the West Cheshire, and we got pipped to the post by Mossley Hill, and we got beaten in the Pike Cup final from them as well. Disappointing, it was hard to take. But when we went into the counties, it's one of them, isn't it? Because you can try and go for these established players that have played at the level and they've been around the block, and you think, well, they're experienced counties players, they know the league, they know what works, they know what's required. But then when you're doing that and you haven't really got a budget, these players are on maybe on 70 quid or 80 quid a week at places, and it was just something that we couldn't offer. And when you do the ringing round, we must have hanged 40 lads, to try and get down and say, do you fancy this? And we identified a number of players, and we spent the summer ringing round until we actually said, well, why don't we just go with players that are unknown, but they're hungry and they're young and they're listening and they're coachable, and we only brought Adam Hamill in. I'd say Adam Hamill, obviously an ex-pro, and I played at the level and levels above. Nathan Pete was in there. He played at the level for Ashton Town, and he'd spent a long time at Mossley Hill. And then Kieran Halligan, who played for Bootle, both in the Northwest Counties and the Evo Stiff. So they were probably last year. Oh, and Darren Brannigan, who had to spell it yourselves at Skem.
Yeah.
And also I played, been on loan to Ashton Athletic. And I played, at the level. So 4 players, and the rest of the lads were young lads, and enthusiastic, hungry, determined, eager to learn, willing to run, willing to listen, willing to train, really bought into what we wanted to do. So it was the unknown, and we went at it, and we tried to go toe to toe with sides, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes it backfired, and we were on the back end of a couple of heavy defeats, and we had some great wins, and we both agreed at the start of the season that it'd never be anything other than like, an emotional roller coaster. One week we'd be made up of one, the next week we'd be nearly crying that we've got beat. And as long as we accepted that and we could have a reasonable place finish, there was no pressure put on the club other than stay in the league. And I think that we surpassed that really. We finished 10th, which is, I think, there wasn't much between 10th and 6th. I'm going to say about 6 points, 7 points. So, it was tight in there, and we done okay. I was pleased. I was pleased with the first season, really.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it was for your first season back. That's a serious jump that you've made to not even really be flirting with relegation. Must have made you dead proud. On the flip side of it, as you say, bringing in just pure youth can be a bit of a risk. And I suppose Skem last season, we kind of found that out when we tried to just focus on youth. Did you ever consider that there may not be any substitute for experience?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, AJ, a lot of the time, in a lot of them games, me and Joe looked at each other and thought, this mightn't work, because there was times where we couldn't see games out. Or, well, to say this, we scored 74, conceded 74. So, you know, we levelled out on goal difference, and we were great going forward, and we were gung ho, we were attacking, and we were full of enthusiasm. But at times, you know, when you're winning 2-1, or you're thinking, just hold out. Well, the players couldn't help themselves. It's just like, let's go again. And it's the manager's worst nightmare. You're thinking, oh my God. But it gives us some really exciting games. And it also gives, if you can get through it without flirting with relegation, it's all about developing, isn't it? It's about developing that side of their game. To where this season they come into the league and think, well, I remember going there and I know what to do now. I remember slipping up there. I remember conceding a 92nd minute goal there that lost us the game, and without like sort of trying and testing it, some of these lads, because they're all out there, if you put the work in, there's a lot of young lads who are good enough out there.
There certainly is.
If you put your trust in them, if you put your trust in them and you can mix it, and we were lucky. We had some of the experienced lads as well. We brought Zach Riley in, midway through the season, and Zach had captained FC St Helens to that league the year before.
Yeah, he also played for us.
and Zach played for you. Zach played for you. Yeah, it was actually he was with yourselves when he'd signed for us. And what an experienced lad! You know, he made a massive difference. But you've got to have the right level. And I believe that every manager can say, I've brought in experience and I've brought in youth. And I've sort of cracked it and I've got the perfect balance. But that's a lie, isn't it? Because as managers, we all take a bit of a risk no matter what we do. You know, if it comes off, you look like the best thing in the world. If it doesn't come off, and people think he hasn't got a clue. But you need a bit of luck, you know, and we might have got that bit of luck as well. So I'm not daft enough to think that we didn't.
No, you're probably right there. And I suppose actually in unearthing the lads that you did, you probably didn't realise it until sort of quite early on in the season, but you actually had probably the most fearsome strike force in all of the Northwest counties last season, which consisted of Darren Brannigan and Jacob Till, both of whom finished in around about the top 5 of the goal scorers across the Northwest counties. And then you sort of follow that up with players like Harrison Worden coming in with some pretty big numbers on his goals. Did you ever wonder that this team might split during the course of the season? Did you have to kind of fend off attention from other clubs for these guys?
Yeah, we did. We had incest all the way through the season for them type of players, and it was difficult. And you've got to try and get the buy-in from these lads, and we got the buy-in. And luckily enough, we got the buy-in because they seen that it was a good club. They seen that everything's laid on. They've renovated the clubhouse, the changes are done, the pitch is done. You know, they sometimes get a couple of drinks. They got the Christmas night out paid for. There's loads of little things in football that if you can get the team to buy into it and the squad to buy into it, it means a lot and it carries a lot of weight, because I don't think there's any loyalty left in football anymore. I think people have moved for an extra $5 and they wouldn't care less.
Yeah, I think you're probably right,
And to try and get that buy-in from them, to say, look, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to be, and you are a massive part of this. You are a massive part of this team, and once you get the buy-in with that, with the likes of Darren Brannigan and Jacob Till and Harrison, and you know what, we had a lad like centre half, Levi, who started off as a right back, and young Sam Berg. But one of the most important things for me was we brought an under 17s player in last year from the youth team in Nathan Moffat, and he was 17, and he'd scored 37 goals the year before for the youth from left wing. And when we brought him in, we knew how strong Jacob was on the left, and we put him in the 10. And people were like, no. But we said, no, just stick with it. And he scored 14 goals in his first season in Northwest Counties at 17. Cool. You know, I know he didn't at the heights of Darren Brannigan, where he was in the 20s, and Jacob Till in the 20s. But we had 2 players in the top 5 or the top 4 scorers in that league.
He did,
behind Charlie Frost, Lewis Heppel, you had Darren Brannigan, Jacob Till, and I can't remember the other one, I'm sorry. But just under that, we had the likes of, we had Marcus Stewart scoring goals, we had Robbie McDonald scoring goals, and we had Nathan Moffat, a 17-year-old lad, scored 14. It's fantastic, really, when you look at it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did have to fend off incest for all of the players you've just mentioned. But I'm a big believer in being honest as well. So I wanted to be transparent with the lads. So I said to them, if anyone comes in for you, I'll tell you. And if anyone approaches you without me knowing or the club knowing, you tell me. And that seemed to work. Darren would say to me, listen, such and such has been on the phone. They've asked me to go up. I've told them no. brilliant, thanks very much, Darren. And then if someone had come in, put 7 days on someone, I'd say, look, they've been in with 7 days. What do you think? They say, no, I'm going to stay. And I think if you do that and you're open and honest with the lads, and you try and tell them, I'll stop no one from progressing in football. Never. Because if they can make that step to the next level and the next level again, then how good's that you've had the chance to manage them? Yeah. But if you treat them right when they come in and when they're with you, it's dead important that you treat them right on the way out of the club as well. Because they'll always come back. They'll always ring, they'll always come down, we've had lads ask me this season that weren't starting with the Northern Premier League teams until weeks after. They ring, text, Joe, can I come down and sign with you? No problem, come down, join in. It's nice, it's, you've got to look after these lads, and I personally think there's too much cloak and dagger about, and you're probably finding that yourselves. There's too much cloak and dagger about.
But you're relatively young as a manager, but you're old enough to remember sort of the old school era of footballers. I mean, we often talk about the away games when we go on, when we used to go on cup games back in the day. And the players would be sat at the back of the coach at the end of a game, and win, lose or draw, they'd be having a tin or two, they'd be playing chase the ace, and they'd probably be throwing the wages away at the same time. It's a little bit more difficult, the current era of young players. So how important is it to get them to gel together and buy into it, particularly with the sort of the later era of players?
Yeah. Do you know, Frank, you're spot on. From them days of when you're saying, because I've been involved in it from when I was a kid, following my dad around and seeing how men conduct themselves, and the proper footballer men back then, aren't they? Okay. You're going back to the pub for a pint. I can always remember getting home and my mum giving me dad an earful, and then he'd say, well, I took him. And that was his excuse, he'd have me for the afternoon, but I'd been in the pub with them. But it was part and parcel of it. And then, my uncle played for Morecambe, so we used to go and watch him, and you sort of learn the value of the game and the values of the game. And the modern day players are different. And I've got a belief in, they're different for a reason. I think when we were younger, there wasn't this much amount of coaching that there is now. Yeah. And I feel like there's more and more coaching. And when they come through, you see the one-on-ones, and you see them going to these elite academies, as kids, as young lads, and they're coached. But I'm not saying they're overcoached, but what I will say is they're not allowed to. I'll say them. They're overcoached, right? And you know what they are as well? The sort of
spoiled.
They can't express them. They can't express themselves enough. And when I say that, is what I mean is they don't find the voice. So the only voice you hear on them coaching pitches is the coach's voice, and you probably find it yourself. You'll have a load of young lads. They won't speak. They will not talk in the game. They won't say, "Man, oh no, you do this," or they'll bollock someone. They just don't talk, and that's part and parcel of them being overcoached as young lads into teenagers. Because if you didn't speak when you were playing with these fellas years ago, you'd know about it within the first 5 minutes. And you'd have to tell someone, and you'd have to talk. And you'd have to tell someone, and you'd have to say, and you'd have to accept the bollocker, and you don't speak your dummy out and throw a tantrum and say, and walk out after, or don't come for a pint, or get off, or don't speak to you, or I'm leaving. You'd accepted it, and you took it on the chin, and then the next week you'd speak, and the next week you'd make sure you didn't do it. But these lads that are coming into the game now, that are young from 18 to 22, they don't speak, and they don't speak because they've got so used to listening to the coach's voice and saying it, they haven't found their own. And I'd love these coaches to stand back at some point and realise, why don't we let them speak? Why don't we let them tell us? On the pitch, it's just they shout, they scream, and it's all, by the way, it's all enthusiastic and it's all encouragement. But at the same time, you want your centre half to be screaming. You want your centre midfielder to be screaming at you forward.
So how do you cope with that then, Joey? Do you try to change them, or do they change you, or is it a bit of both?
No, so I'm sort of I'm hell bent on communication and talking, and I've done that with my own lad. My own lad has sort of felt the brunt of that because he's played and he was in the academy system. And there's one thing that he does. He's 15 now. He will speak on the pitch. He'll talk, and it stands out like a sore thumb because of the kids won't. But at Maghull, I tell the lads, young Nathan, you've got to speak. These lads, you're playing with them week in, week out. You're training with them week in, week out. you're having a pint with them, and the pint part of it as well. Even if it's an orange juice or a Coke, I make all the players come back in, no matter where we are, whether the home and away. The clubs will put food on. We go and sit there. We take the food. We go back for the drink, and we sit there and we get together and we have a chat and we have a talk. And in training, I am continually stopping the session to say, why didn't you just tell him he had a man on? Why didn't you just tell him he had an easy pass? And just slowly but surely, they come out and they start talking, and you start seeing it. And although they're not screaming it, they're communicating. And it's a massive element of the game that's gone. And until it's highlighted at a youth level that these lads aren't talking and they're going into men's football without any communication skills, it's going to happen time and time again.
And you're certainly doing the right thing in terms of encouraging them to speak. And listen, it's obviously working. You've come out of the starting blocks pretty quickly this season. 1 draw and 3 consecutive wins, and top of the league as well. Early days I know, but with a win over Droylsden, we'll assume, who we assume to be the big hitters, you must be really proud of the start that you've made.
Yeah, I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted, because I looked at the fixtures and I thought, we're in for a tough run here. We're in for a tough month, and we've got Strictly away in Navarre on Saturday. So that was included in the fixtures. I was thinking, oh my God, Squires Gate, who've got a point to prove, come down, want to go back up. And then you play Droylsden and AFC Blackpool, and then last week we played bloody hell, what's going on in my head? Nelson. We played Nelson.
Yeah.
And we were 2-0 down. We were 2-0 down at half time against Squires Gate. And I felt like that we were poor and we were nervous. And I don't know why we were nervous, but we were, and we come out with 2-2. And I think that we could have won the game when I went home and I looked at it, and I listened to the manager's Luke's interview after the game, and he said we never had a shot on target second half, and we were lucky to go in 2-0 up. And I thought it was a dead honest opinion from the manager. And we drew the game, which was a great result after being 2 down. As you know, at this level of football, it's hard to get back in games. And we drew 2-2, and then the following week, we go and play Droylsden at home, and we were winning 4-0 after 70 minutes.
Yeah, incredible.
They
must be sick and tired of you.
I know. We got beat away last year, but we beat them at home 2-0. But they're a big club. They're going to be up there. They're going to be pushing like it was last year. And for us to be 4-0 up on the 70-minute mark, and we just fell apart. It was just a bit of nervousness. They scored 1 goal in quick succession. They scored another, and we dropped off a bit. And I was glad that the final whistle went. I'm not going to lie, but to be in cruise control against Droylsden on a 17-minute mark with still a very young side, a talented side, but young, I thought, hang on a minute, we might be all right here. And then AFC Blackpool away was tough. And we rolled our luck in that game. Our keeper saved the penalty. We got Darren Brannigan sin bin for the last 10 minutes at 2-1 when they're putting the pressure on, and we come out of it with a 2-1 win. And then last week against Nelson, who was second last year, to beat them, to be up 5-0 up at half time against them, well-established county side, and we were clinical and everything come off. We played really well. We managed the second half and we conceded, but it's going to happen. Every team will have a chance. I couldn't ask for more, really, could I? How could I? We're sitting top of the league. I know it's on goal difference, but I couldn't ask for a better month. I'm so proud of the lads. I'm so proud of the club. All the hard work that everyone's put in. I know it's early days, but you want to get out of August to a pretty reasonable start, especially with no midweek fixtures, and we've certainly done that. So
how's that helped, Joey, this season? Because you've not had any midweek games up to this point.
I think it's benefited. At first, I was a bit disappointed because I thought, well, bloody hell, I like the midweek games. It comes round. If you lose a game, you're right back at it. You can put it right. If you win a game, you're right back at it, and you can keep the winning mentality going.
But if you're building a new squad, if you're building a squad from scratch, it doesn't work in your favour, and it certainly didn't for us last season.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because what happens is you're chopping and changing, you're bringing lads in, you're tired. If you lose a game, you can panic as a manager and think, oh, I'll drop him, I'll put him in. When really, this gives you the chance to settle for a week, train, review anyone who's injured. And that's another thing it does, helps your injuries. Some pictures the dead leg up on the Saturday, and they can't play on the Tuesday, but they can the following Saturday. But you're changing that team midweek.
Most definitely, yeah. Listen, what did like Dave Pace say to you at the end of a game? Just going back to Droylsden again, because we expect them to be the big hitters again this season. But what does the likes of Dave Pace, an extremely experienced manager who's managed at the top level of non-league football, what does he say to you at the end of a game like that when you're beating them?
Do you know what? We shook hands and he said, all the best, you deserved it. Other than that, there wasn't really much conversation, and it was probably because how the game went. When they were 4-0 down, there was a lot of I'm going to say sort of a lot of anger amongst their players, a lot of unrest, and the game can then become a little bit scrappy, and the benches get involved, and then we get involved with their bench, and then a player shouts something off, and it can become a little bit hostile, and that game went like that for the last 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I class them as, like, as you've just said, a big hitter, and Pacey's has a lot of experience. He's managed some big players, and being right up there. So for me personally, as you've just said, as a young manager, to go toe to toe with the likes of Droylsden, it's great. But we didn't get the chance to speak at the end of the game. Whether that's emotions are running high, it happens. We've all been there when we're pissed off at the end of the game. You might want to just get a pint down you and get off. You mightn't even want that pint. You might just want to get off. But yeah, other than just shook my hand and said we deserved it, which we did deserve it. Anyone who watched the game will tell you that. But yeah, he did. Other than that, no. And then I speak to other managers who I'm friends with. In the league above. The likes of your Martin Ryman and your Gary Moores, and still Joe Doran linked in a bootle at the chairman, and you're getting the well done messages. Great start, great results. So it's nice. It's nice, mate. But it's early, innit? It's early. No one's ever won a league in August. No one's finished in the playoffs. No one's ever gone down in August. So anything can change. It's football.
Yeah. Listen, I keep saying it, but it's really difficult to remain ambitious even at this level of football. And if rumours are to be believed, then some of the budgets in Step 6 are making life so difficult for the rest of the teams. Maghull is run by a lot of hard-working volunteers, but even though you're getting decent gates, what does the club have to do above the big hitters to remain as competitive as you are? And how difficult is recruitment based on resources? I know we touched on it before.
Yeah. I think you've got to be lucky as well with your recruitment, and I think that when you put your faith in the youth, it benefits you because you're not paying these established players more than you should be paying them. Because let's have it right, we're playing at Step 6 football, and a lot of the money bandied about that level. Even in our league, some of the money that your players are on, 200 quid plus for a game or a week. It's a lot of money that, and we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near being able to pay players that. We've got a budget. It was small last year. They've increased it slightly, but they haven't increased any expectation. And we're certainly nowhere near from the whispers that you hear in the counties. We're nowhere near any of the big hitters' budgets. So and our lads aren't on extortionate amounts. It's split across the team as evenly as you can to try and keep everybody pleased. Which can be difficult to gain. I'm just hopeful that the lads that we've got in, the calibre of lads, they believe in the project. You can see the work off the pitch working. The stands are going in. The clubs are getting really good gates. We had 260 plus there again on the weekend.
Yeah, fantastic.
It doesn't half help. You know that yourself running the likes of Skem, where you've had big gates in the past and you've gone through the struggles where they drop off and it affects you massively. But that's a massive bonus for Maghull to be getting that sort of local support coming in. And until there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of money being spent at the club to improve it. Not all of it's going into the football teams. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes which has got to be paid. There's more staff being brought in to manage the bar, and it's difficult. You know how difficult it is. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Yeah, but yeah, no. When you're challenging against the likes of Droylsden and other sides in there that have got big budgets and are paying players big money, it's always going to be difficult, isn't it? But it's all well and good throwing money at it, but you've got to build that team. You've got to build that team.
And at your level, you've got to build slowly as well, haven't you?
Slowly, yeah. Well, if you look at what Dave Jones done last year, what a fantastic job he done at Everton.
Yeah.
He went in the first year, steadied them, done well, finished in a really respectable place. The following season, you know, with hardly any budget, with you know, a relatively small budget to what I've heard, he goes and wins the league and the cups, and you think, and that's because of the buy-in from the youth and the players bought into what he wanted to do, and then he was able to demonstrate that on the pitch and in training, and off the pitch you see them having meals and drinks. It's massive. It's massive. You'll get nowhere buying a player and bringing a player in for £200 a week if he hasn't got the buy-in and the interest. If someone offers 220, he's going to walk out on you. It means nothing. It means nothing. But, you know, it's the fundamentals of football, isn't it? You go back to it. You've got to want to play first and foremost. You've got to want to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy where you're playing. You've got to buy into whatever you're doing. You've got to be committed.
I certainly do. From a logistical point of view from yourself, as you said, money seems to talk more within this league. So how long did it take you to assemble this squad to have them all commit to the buy-in? Did it take you a while?
Yeah, it took us to get to this point. It took us 3 years to have this group of players with us predominantly. So from the last season in the West Cheshire, the season before we had our last season, we brought players in, and I was trying to tap players up. And at the back end of that season, I think that I was making contact with the likes of Darren Brannigan, who was not really getting in your schem side at that time. He was on loan to Ashton Athletic.
Yeah, we stuffed that one, didn't we? God.
Yeah, if I remember that one rightly. But you know, you were doing well at the time, wasn't you? You know, and Darren might not be playing as well as he is now. You know, football's about timing as well. Don't forget. But,
yeah, of course.
But yeah, that back into that season, we started making contact with some good players, and then we got them to come and play. And then we had a really good season in the West Cheshire. We finished right up there, you know, in seconds, and we got to the Pike Cup final, and we got to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup, which is a massive cup in Liverpool. You know, got down to the last four of that, and just had an off day against Admiral Park away. They were good, like taking on away from them. But that season in the West Cheshire, to then say that you've got to carry your lads, and we want you to, you know, we want to offer you North West Counties football next year. We want this group to stay together, and look how good we are, and look how good we can be, and look what you have done, and you know, show them what they've done. And they go, yeah, do you know what, I'll have that. And why wouldn't we want to be here? Where else are you going to go at the moment? You know, how many of the teams have got the foundation of what Maghull have got at the moment? You know, they've got the clubhouse, the facility, refurbished it, got it up to a brilliant standard. The floodlights went in. It's a great pitch. You've got a community there. You know, there's not many places at the moment, I don't believe, within Liverpool that's better to offer a place to play your football for goal, especially when you're investing in the youth. You're linking into the youth and you're showing them that pathway. Isn't that what it's all about? As well as being your experience in, you know, it's all sort of just clicked for us in that respect. We've still got to get it right on the pitch, and we're still got to do that for, you know, a long period of the season, 36 games plus the cup games. But you know, for us to get to this point, it hasn't happened overnight. This is our third season together. You know, one or two come in on top of that, and you only have bits of quality where you feel like you need the quality to improve the squad. But not go. I didn't go out this year and go, we want 10 players to come in. I picked the positions, and the club would give you that belief as well. You know, the club fully support you. So once you get that support from the club, thinking, well, we'll back you no matter what you do, and I'm able to say, well, I don't think we need to bring in 10 players. I think we need to go and get 5. It's probably what we did. We brought 5 players in.
It's easier to take the players up with you than the opposite way around. We've certainly 100%. Found out that it's when you go down, keeping a squad together is much more difficult.
Yeah.
But listen, what's the feeling behind the scenes now? And are you prepared for success should it come this season?
I think the club will be pretty prepared for anything. You know, if that brings a surprising finish to the season, you know, if we're able to finish up there just outside the playoff places or within the playoff places, and then we get that could be, you know, the club, you've got to change your facilities a little bit, haven't you? You've got to upgrade your gradings a bit. You don't know all this yourself.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to get the club to get ahead of where we are, all the players. At the moment, we're a month in. We'll do our utmost to improve on the 10th place finish last year, which is all my target is. If we can have a better run in the cups and we can finish higher than 10, then it's a step in the right direction. Again, with a team that'll hopefully, if you keep them together, they'll be stronger again next season. So yeah, do I want to finish as high as I can? Yeah. Would it cause the club a problem if we finish too high? I don't know. Would they be prepared and back? Yeah, 100%. If they've shown anything at the moment, they're showing that they're not willing to sort of just sit there. They want to grow, they want to improve, they want to progress, and we want to try and do it all at the right time, and we want to try and do it together.
Listen, Joey, you're going about your business the correct way, steady, quietly, and you're doing the job. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Wish you all the best. You're in the FA Vars this weekend, is it?
Yeah, 2.5 hours away. Yeah.
Where are you?
Away, yeah.
Frickley?
Away, yeah,
Oh,
Frickley
right.
away, yeah.
Okay,
so
listen.
West, East Yorkshire up that way, I think.
Yeah.
They're in step sort of 5. I think they're step 5 side. Sorry, yeah, step 5 side. I think yeah. So league above, and it'll be tough. It'll be really tough. But the FA Vars, let's go and enjoy the occasion. A break away from the league action.
Yeah, nice distraction as well, isn't it? Coach trip.
Nice distraction, yeah. Coach trip, yeah. A bit of a laugh on the way home.
Yeah. Bit of a bevy, chase the ace, teach them all the old games.
Chase the ace. A couple of the initiation songs, hopefully, for the new players that have come in. They'll have to sing a bit, but honestly, thank you very much.
Yeah, listen, good luck at the weekend, and good luck for the rest of the season, Joey.
No problem, AJ. Thank you very much as well, mate. And Frank, I wish you all the very best with Scam. I really do.
Nice one. Thanks very much for that.
Cheers, Joey. All the best, mate. Take care.
Take care. Bye now.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, gents. Bye.
A heartfelt shout out to all the businesses supporting Skelmersdale United Football Club, especially T&W Garners and Pedro de Seda Enterprises. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles, lottery bonus ball scheme and the weekly draw in conjunction with NYCBA. A special thanks to those who organise such fundraising events, with a particular mention for the incredible Lee Davis and Rowena Hughes. To everyone who stands by us both on and off the pitch, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutdfc@gmail.com or alternatively call me on 077 66054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the third and final part of the Speaking Frankly football show. AJ, that was a fantastic interview with a fantastic guy.
Yeah, it was. You can tell that Joey is really, really passionate about what he wants to do at Maghull. Very talented from a management and critical point of view, and to get a newly promoted Maghull all the way up to 10th place. I think it really shows that there are big things going to be happening with this club very soon.
And it's a refreshing attitude to have to this new era of football players and the way that he treats them. He gets the very best out of them lads by actually accepting the fact that making sure that they have their voice and they make it clear as well, because it's got to be a two-way thing. They can't just listen to orders and not reply. They've got to grow up.
Yeah, they do. I think it's probably one of the better places to do that is Maghull. If you've got a manager like that who's encouraging you to find your voice and to use your voice, so it's that 17-year-old that he managed to get through the ranks. That will have taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I think his labours have kind of bore a lot of fruit there. 14 goals from the left wing. That's an astonishing achievement for the young man.
Yeah, listen, it's absolutely marvellous, and thanks again to Joey Burns. No doubt we'll have him on the show again, probably at the end of the season when he's in the playoffs. you just never know, do you? But listen, we'll move on to it's the first weekend of the FA Vars, and as we know, Maghull will be featuring in that themselves. They're off to Frickley, I believe, is it? Would you say Frickley?
Yeah, Frickley Athletic, yeah. Yeah,
so they'll be looking forward to that. So clubs right across the country go head-to-head in steps 5 and 6 to compete for the trophy, which will be contested eventually at Wembley. The prize money, a lot different to what the FA Cup is, so just to give you sort of an indication here. So the first qualifying round in the FA Vars, if you win, you get £550. If you're the losing club, you get £160. In the FA Cup, which has got slightly different rounds, but if you go on the sort of first qualifying round, it's £2,250 to the winners. So there's a big difference in the FA Cup and the FA Vars, but still not to be sniffed at, because if you get all the way to the final, you can win a whopping £30,000, and if you're the runner-up, you can get £15,000. And as we know, it's televised as well.
Yeah, it is. I think it's an opportunity not to be sniffed at. I think there's I think it's an amazing opportunity for non-league teams to kind of have their own FA-based competition, because non-league teams in this day and age, they don't particularly get far within the FA Cup or even really the FA Trophy. So having the FA Vars it's a great platform for them to have their Wembley dreams. Most
definitely. And listen, just rounding up the FA Cup a little bit before we go on about the Vars, but Bury lost in their replay on Tuesday night to Stalybridge. Commiserations to them. I would imagine after losing, I think they lost in the fourth qualifying round last season, that probably would have been hoping to go one round better to the first round proper.
Yeah, I think they would have really wanted to. Yeah, I think this is a season with big expectations for Bury. It's not started in the best way possible, and I think they probably found this season just that little bit more difficult than they anticipated. I watched some of the highlights of their game against Staley Celtic, and Staley Celtic did have a really decent run of the first half. I think maybe their first goal was probably a little bit scrambled, if you like. But after that, it was a decent enough contest between the sides. But you always felt that Staley were just a little bit more in control of that game.
And back to the next round of the FA Cup in terms of those teams in the Northwest Counties. There's 4 teams left in it. And one of the biggest draws of the competition is going to be, and it's on Saturday the 30th of August, is Atherton LR versus Atherton Collieries at Crilly Park. What a game that promises to be.
That's a local derby, that one is, and that's going to be absolutely stunning, because I think a lot of people would have probably written Atherton LR off on paper, but you never can. They're an absolutely brilliant team. We talked about it before, about the strength that Davy Jones has in that squad, and I think they'll give Collieries a really good game.
And in contrast there, Atherton Collieries not doing particularly well. They're rooted to the bottom of their league, but Michael Clegg, another fantastic manager there, gives him an opportunity to get something out of this season, if nothing else. But yeah, I think that's going to be a great contest. Moving on then, I think we've got Bishop Auckland versus Chadderton, Hebburn Town versus Longridge Town, West Auckland versus Wythenshawe, and West Didsbury and Chorlton will play Runcorn Linnet. So that rounds up the 4 teams that are remaining in the FA Cup in the next round that are in the Northwest Counties. So looking forward to those as we come along. Listen, we'll look at the Vars a little bit more when we look at the fixtures for this weekend. But a quick roundup of the Northwest Counties. Obviously, we've mentioned the FA Cup. And we've mentioned the teams that have managed to get into the next round. But we'll look at the Premier Division, where 5 games all ended in victories, with all victories. South Liverpool won 6-1 at Pilkington in the biggest win. Neil Weaver scoring a hat-trick, with Barnoldswick Town and FC Isle of Man both also winning away. I think that was their first win, the Isle of Man, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And Burscough up to second place after a 3-0 win over Remy, with Stockport Town overcoming Stockport Town. That's wrong, isn't it? Stockport Town.
Cheadletown.
Cheadletown, was it? Yeah. So looking at the... so we get to the fixtures there. What did you sort of make of the results this weekend?
So, looking at the Premier League results, I think it wasn't much of a surprise to see Burscough dispatch Litherland Remica by 3-0. They've had a really brilliant start to the game to the season. Still unbeaten in the Northwest Counties, looking really strong. I think it was a debut as well in goal for Goodness Gospel Easy for Burscough. He made his debut keeping a clean sheet as well. So a really good turnout for Burscough there in front of only 72 fans. So maybe that will be a little bit of a disappointment for the men in green there. Barnoldswick versus Exton, I think, was always going to be a really tight contest there, and I think Barnoldswick's experience within the league probably just about showed. As for South Liverpool, that was a bit of a bolt from the blue, particularly the size and scale of the victory over Pilks as well. And then Stockport versus Cheadle, I think, was a tight game, but probably an expected result for Stockport there.
Yeah, so Division 1 South, Runcorn Town, a bit of a disappointment there, wasn't expecting it, but then a very good Sandbach United team. They lost 2-1 at home, but I wasn't expecting that.
No, I don't think they were. I think we expected big things of Runcorn this season, but I think we probably forgot that Sandbach are a bit of a powerhouse within their own right. And to be honest, it looked like Runcorn were on their way to victory. I think it was 2 goals in the last 5 minutes for Sandbach that turned the game on its head and secured the away side the win there. Eccleshall were the big winners in their game, beating Shawbury United by 5-0. A shout out to former Blue Boy Jack Grimshaw, who got on the score sheet just after the half-hour mark for Eccleshall.
Yeah, well done to him. Wolverhampton Sporting Community beat New Mills 2-1. I think we both got that wrong.
Oh man, I did not see that one coming.
No.
We certainly both got that one wrong. It was a very quick fire set of goals that kind of turned it around. Really, Jelaniel Blake opening the scoring for New Mills, but then Devante Ramsey after half an hour and Chris Bladen after the 40-minute mark, turning the result around for Wolverhampton Sporting Community. A bit of a disappointing turnout though in terms of attendance there, just 35 turning up.
I know. When you look at clubs struggling, you do look at the attendance as well, and it doesn't help, does it?
No, it really doesn't. And I think Wolverhampton is one of those areas where, unfortunately, they have a lot of scope for teams within that area. I mean, there's already Wolverhampton Casuals in the First Division South anyway, and then you look at teams around them. Like Sporting Karlsruhe, who are also, challenging for fans, diluting the talent pool. It can all sort of make life quite difficult if you are Wolverhampton Sports.
Yeah, and looking at the top of the table there, Telford have just topped Runcorn Town. They managed to draw. Did they manage a draw? Did I get that wrong?
No, they beat Cheadle Heath Nomads by 4-1.
Sorry, yeah, forget that. But they'd already drawn again before that. But Runcorn Town obviously losing now. So there's a points difference between the top two there, top three. In fact, Stafford Town are still unbeaten. They've played 4 games, 1 less than most of the teams. Certainly them 2 above them. So yeah, listen, it's early doors anyway. It's hard to predict how the league is going to pan out, but you certainly think that the top 3 that are already there, Telford, Runcorn, and Stafford, are going to be there or thereabouts. And maybe one of the dark horses might be New Mills, even though they lost against Wolverhampton.
I think there are teams that do have an off day, and I think I think that one may belong to New Mills this weekend. A very unfortunate result for them, but I don't think it'll be a long-term concern for them.
But we look at the bottom club, and that's Huffman. Is that how it's pronounced?
God knows. I think we may have to get somebody on the show to clarify it.
They're pointless. They've conceded 18 goals. They've scored a few, though. They've scored 9 themselves.
Yeah, 3 of them coming in the defeat at the weekend, which is away at Longridge Town. Luke Nichols grabbing a hat-trick for Alsager before a 88th minute winner from Braden Barlow. Weirdly enough, Holmond were 3-1 up at one stage before Nichols got goals very quickly either side of half-time to bring the game back on level terms. So there's probably a bit of a sense that Holmond threw that one away. Or at least let it slip through their fingers. Yeah,
you'd always feel as though if a team can score goals, though, they can get themselves out of that position. Whereas last season we weren't scoring them, and that was ultimately our downfall. But they're scoring goals, so that might bode well for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, even if they finish bottom, they may very well end up getting a reprieve from the league.
Yeah. Right. So looking at the
North,
I've lost the complete plot here because I can't find the results for the.
Oh, don't worry. Well, I'll kick us off there. So the biggest win of the day went to Fulwood Amateurs, who went over to Garstang Riverside Stadium and absolutely smashed them by 7-1. Spencer Lucas scoring 6 of those goals there to hammer the Fylde Coastliners. Additionally, there Droylsden got their season up and running with a 2-0 win over Squires Gate. Nelson Van with the first half double in front of 515 at the Butchers Arms. Darwin turned their result around by beating Holker Old Boys 2-1 up in Cumbria. Brandon Dawson and Josh Abbott scoring goals by Charlie McGladdery getting what proved to be a consolation in the second half. And then just after we'd spoken to him, Maghull beating Nelson by 5-1 in what was Gerry Harrison's last game for the East Lancashire outfit. Jacob Till, Darren Brannigan, Nathan Moffat, and then Sam Smith with a double. Maghull were actually 2-0 up after 6 minutes and 4-0 up after 5-0 up after half an hour. So it was no surprise really that they ran away with victory there. 245 over in just off the M58, so another really good turnout for them in terms of numbers for Maghull. MSB Woolton got their first points of the season with a 2-2 draw against Daisy Hill. So the teams were Daisy Hill went 2-0 up through goals from Lee Grimshaw and new signing Joao Suarez, but MSB Woolton grabbing 2 goals themselves through Okatenga Okaraga and
I'm glad you said that.
and Daniel Venter securing a point for the North Preston side, and Steeton carrying on their really, really impressive run as well, going to Thornton Cleaveys and winning by 2-0. Again, in front of a really good turnout at Thornton Cleaveys of 218 people there. So North West Counties Northern League is quite clearly very, very popular. Another shout out as well for Main Road Baby Ashton Athletic by 4-0.
So if you'd have speculated at the beginning of the season and you'd have been looking at after the first 4 games and you looked at the top 4, Maghull, Steeton, Main Road and Fulwood Amateurs, and you'd have predicted that, you'd have thought we'd have gone balmy.
Yeah, I would have been looking at whatever I was drinking and thinking it was spiked. Because
I'll throw Thorns and Cleaveys into that one as well, because they're in 6th place.
Thornton Cleaveley's were in 6th. I think they were top at the beginning of this weekend.
Yeah.
They may not be anymore, but even so, to be knocking about up there, that's a seriously impressive achievement. But I think what was most surprising now is to find teams like Nelson and AFC Blackpool down in 14th and 18th place, respectively. It's not boding well for a good season for either of those two teams. Nelson, I would think, have got enough quality to turn that season around. Not sure about AFC Blackpool, though. Having lost a couple of their really good players in the off season, then that can prove deeply problematic for them. Going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, most definitely. Listen, we'll just briefly we've already mentioned who the teams that have survived in the FA Cup to play again. Congleton beat Padiham 3-0. I don't know did we both go for Congleton? I can't remember.
I think you went for Padiham and I went for Congleton.
Yeah, you might be right there. But Atherton LR managed to beat FC St Helens 2-0. Chadderton beat Earlham 1-0. I didn't expect that. I did expect it to be close, but I think we thought Earlham might just edge that one. Longridge Town beat Emley 5-1. I think that was a really good result. Nantwich Town, no surprise there, they beat Charnock Richard 1-0. Silsden and Ramsbottom drew 1-1, but in the replay, Silsden won 3-2 on penalties after extra time. Unfortunately, sadly for them, they've been knocked out at the early stages.
I think that's incredibly frustrating for Steve Wilkes as well, because his team were leading by 2-0 going into the added time.
Oh, crikey, I didn't even look at the times there.
93rd minute and the 96th minute, turning it around completely for Silsden, and then they compound it by winning 3-2 on penalties, a desperately infuriating result.
An infuriating one, but if you're Silsden, what a comeback! That's
a comeback for which dreams are made of.
Oh yeah.
If you're a Silsden fan, you're probably still buzzing now.
Oh yeah, listen, I most possibly had a heart attack at that stage.
Very possibly, yeah.
So West Didsbury and Chorlton, they beat Brighouse Town 1-0. Whitton Albion beat AFC Liverpool 4-1.
Yeah.
And as we know, the abandoned game between Wythenshawe and Vauxhall was played again on Tuesday night, and Wythenshawe managed to win 2-0.
2-0. Yes, they did, yeah.
So that rounds up the FA Cup. So we're going to look at the fixtures now, I think, aren't we? Are we going to go to the local news first? Should we go we'll go to the local news first. So we're looking at the National League North and those teams most closely associated with us, if you like. Marine AFC, after an open day defeat away at South Shields, the Mariners have had back-to-back victories against Buxton at home and then a tremendous 3-1 win away to Merthyr Town on Tuesday night. Following a long trip to South Wales, they fought back from a goal down to win the game. From the outset, what appeared to be a difficult season, I think you'd agree, AJ, in prospect for Marines manager Bobby Grant. He's managed to turn out a really good squad that seems to have developed spirit, and that will really bode well for the season ahead, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is Bobby Grant's first season in management. I think I don't think he's dealing with lofty expectations, but I think what he is dealing with is a bit of steely pragmatism in that survival and retention of the National League North status is paramount to Marines' long-term ambitions and the ambitions of the Leary family. But he's made a bit of a up and down start, but I think beating Merthyr Town away will have done wonders. So I think they could very well kick on from here.
In his post-match interview, he said that the players left the pitch disappointed that they hadn't won by a greater margin, because he reckoned they could have scored. They could have scored 6. But listen, they've got newly promoted Bedford Town this weekend. They've had a reasonably decent start themselves, and then they follow that up by a trip to Alfreton Town on Bank Holiday Monday. So best of luck to Marine over the next couple of games. The big weekend. It's a big weekend for the teams that are playing on Saturday and Bank Holiday as well.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think that game against Bedford, I think, will be particularly mouth-watering, if you like. Bedford sort of being the lauded stars of the Buckinghamshire area.
It does raise a little bit of a question, AJ, because we've talked about this before. We've got real Bedford, and we've got Bedford now. They both got promoted at the same time, but they're still one division apart from each other, so I believe. Now, there was talk of an amalgamation. We need to sort of do our homework on this one, whether this amalgamation of the two teams is still going to go ahead at some stage. I've not heard any more about that, but then I've not really done a great deal of research either.
To be honest, it doesn't sound like it. I think when you look at the state of both Bedford Town and Rail Bedford, they are both prospering. Almost flourishing, really, in their own right, and I don't think it would be fair for anybody concerned to amalgamate the two teams at this stage.
But they were certainly talking about the Bitcoin King, Peter McCormick, is it?
Yeah, there was talk about it, and I think he had put it on the table as a possibility. But by the sounds of it, it was. It very possibly was at the very least rejected, held up, and at the very most rejected.
Yeah, well, I'll do a little bit of homework on that one for the next week's game, and hopefully next week's podcast, I should say, not game. Well, listen, we'll move on to Southport for now. Southport have had an indifferent start. They started the season with a defeat to Merthyr, who we've just been talking about, but then they had a great win against Bedford Town Tuesday night. Sorry, not Tuesday night. They had a great win against Bedford Town, and then on Tuesday night they were beaten by Macclesfield. Now, Robbie Savage, Macclesfield without him, they've managed to 2 wins sandwiched either side of a defeat. Savage, meanwhile, he's had a relatively good start in the National League with Forest Green, and he's won 1 and drawn 1. What do you make of that so far?
I think it shows that exactly what I thought it might be a few weeks ago when we talked about it, which is that Macclesfield can continue to flourish without Robbie Savage and without his star power, if you like. I don't think anybody expected them to dominate the league. I'm not even sure that they're going to get promoted this season, but they are most certainly on their way back to where they feel they should be. And I think 2 wins sandwiched around 1 defeat is a really good start to the season for them.
Back to Southport. Sorry, go on.
I don't think they'll have any trouble retaining their status in the National League.
No, I don't either. I don't think they've got the same appeal since Savage went, but that's a totally different conversation. But moving back to Southport, they've got a tough trip away to Worksop on Saturday, albeit Worksop haven't had the greatest of starts themselves, with just a point to their name. And Southport followed that up with a bank holiday home game against the relegated team from the National League Premier Division, AFC Fylde. A very, very difficult game for them. Manager Neil Dans is confident that things are slowly coming together. He said it's been a tough start in many ways with the new ownership and then introducing 14 players to the club at the same time. You still think it's going to be difficult for Southport, or do you think they can turn this round?
I think Southport are a little bit like us in that respect. A relatively new manager, 14 new players coming into the club. They're having a bit of a rebuild time of it with not exactly lofty expectations either. I think they just want to retain their National League North status. I'm hopeful that they will do it. They've had a steady start, if you like, but not. Obviously, I don't think it was ever going to be spectacular. But nonetheless, I think there are some encouraging signs there.
Yeah, but listen, interestingly, all teams in the National League North have at least gained 1 point. So I think it's going to be tight at the bottom as well as the top. South Shields are the only team to have maximum points out of 3 games, so maybe that opening day defeat Marine had away at South Shields, not sort of a false result at all there. South Shields definitely going to be up there or thereabouts at the end of the season, I think.
I think you're probably right, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Listen, we move on to the Northern Premier Leagues. Premier Division first. Rushall Olympic topped the division following their relegation from the National League last season. Warrington Rylands are currently going neck to neck with them. Warrington Town are lagging Rylands after a difficult start to the season, and I'd never thought I'd see the day when Warrington Town would have a rival in Warrington, but it's happening right here, right now.
I think that's the start of a brilliant little, sort of rivalry between the two Warrington clubs. I think Warrington Rylands, I think, have almost come out of nowhere. Really, it always used to be about Warrington Town, but then.
Well, they went on that magnificent run, won the FA Vars, and then they've just sort of gone off from there, haven't they?
They kind of have. Yeah, but even then, I don't think even the most ardent of Warrington Town fans could have seen this coming. So this is setting up to be an absolutely brilliant rivalry across this season. So I'm really looking forward to the derby games. And
the thing I'm happy to see there is that they've not pitted them together on this bank holiday Monday. I would imagine they're leaving it now until Boxing Day. So that'll be one hell of a big Boxing Day fixture up in Warrington when it comes around.
I think
I've not looked at the fixture list, by the way, so I'm only assuming. But I would imagine if there's any sense.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, you would hope that if the fixture boffins have read the room, then that's what they would put it as.
Yeah, FC United of Manchester's they've unbeaten record so far suggests that would be a great season for them. I think their fans deserve a bit more success, and it'll really be interesting to see how their journey continues this season.
Yeah, very much so. I think FC United of Manchester is always one of those teams who you expect to be up towards the top end of the NPL there or thereabouts. I think it's probably time. That they could look to transition to the next stage of their footballing journey, if you like. Bearing in mind they are only 20 years old, so they still have a lot of time to climb the highest highs. But maybe this is the season that they kick on.
Yeah, definitely. Ashton United, they're tucked in the leading pack as well, as is Bamber Bridge, who struggled financially last season. You can never make sense of football, can you? One season they're struggling, the next season they're up there in the playoff positions.
Yeah, I think it's just tactical news and probably a bit of good fortune. With the signings, we documented this last season that Bamber Bridge had set up a GoFundMe page to get them through the season. I think they raised 2/3 of their £30,000 target, but I think they've done a lot of work in the off season, brought in a few players who are proving hugely beneficial to the club and made a really, really positive start. It could carry on. It may fizzle out. I'm not sure, but I think right now, Bamber Bridge fans are probably just enjoying them being at the top end of the table than at the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, the big bank holiday fixture is the game between Ashton United and FC United, that all Manchester derby there.
Yeah, FC United of Manchester based out of Moston, whereas Ashton United are from Ashton. Underline probably.
Does that count as a Manchester derby?
Well, I think Ashton Underline is. Yeah, it still has the tram stop in it, whereas Moston is Greater Manchester, isn't it? So, sort of.
We get shot at if we're wrong anyway, won't we?
Yeah, we will. There'll be somebody who pipes up saying it's not a Manchester derby. It's an East Lancashire derby. Like, okay, fine. Or something like that.
There'll be a big gate there, nevertheless, I would imagine.
It will certainly will. I think it's always a big gate for FC United of Manchester anyway. They can pack in at least 2,500 fans through their gates. And Ashton is no small crowd in itself, so I think we can probably expect upwards of 3,000 fans that day.
Oh, listen, I imagine you might be right. Division 1 West, we will finish on that. One team we're keeping a keen eye on is Gary Moore's Lower Breck, who've got off to an absolute flyer with 3 wins out of 3. The top in the table, Sean McConville's Clitheroe sitting in second place with 2 wins and a draw. And the big bank holiday game is Bootle versus Lower Breck. Interesting so far?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I don't think anybody expected Lower Breck to start this season off to a flyer in quite so much way that they did last season. Obviously, there's a huge gap between the Northern Premier League West and the North West Counties Premier, and that's no disrespect to the North West Counties Premier, but Gary Moore and his boys at Lower Breck have quite clearly adapted to the challenge of being in the Northern Premier League and absolutely gone flying out of the traps there. And I don't think Sean McConville will be particularly disappointed in his Clitheroe team either. 2 wins and a draw, unbeaten from the first 3 games. See some really astute signings been made over the summer. I think he may very well be disappointed at drawing 0-0 with Mossley. But nonetheless, he knows his team have got plenty of time to consolidate their position in the very least the top half of the table, but they may even look at going further.
I deliberately mentioned Lower Breck, one, because we like to keep an eye on them, but also we played Joey Oars at the weekend and they play at the home of Lower Breck. We know that Lower Breck have got a considerable amount of work to do this season in order to bring it up to the standard in the division that they currently are. If they were to feature in those playoffs or even win automatic promotion, there's a hell of a lot of work to be done back to back to bring that stadium up to Northern Premier standard.
Yeah, very much so. So the way I think it is that they were granted, they were granted the eligibility criteria for this season, but only up to about August or September. So I think it's almost like an extension.
No, I think you're given a season to bring your criteria up to grade. So they've got to have all. I think they're building a stand at the back of the goal, I believe, and that will have to be built and past fit before the end of March next year. So yeah,
I'll take your word for it on that one. But even so, I think the not only the stand, but I think the pitch seriously needs addressing there. Not only because there's the 2 full-time teams that play on them, but also everybody else who uses the pitch at the Anfield sports community as well, and it has taken its toll on the quality of the pitch.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, listen, although Berry's Dave McNabb would be disappointed with being knocked out of the FA Cup, I think he'll be equally happy to concentrate on the league, which has so far yielded a win and a draw. They've got a busy weekend as they play Congleton away on Monday, and Saturday, once again, they play host to Stalybridge, who beat them in the FA Cup. A big weekend, never mind a busy one for them.
Yeah, hugely. I think Bury haven't quite hit the ground running in the same way that Lower Breck have, and maybe we expected a bit too much of Bury and Lower Breck, and you have to wonder whether the 2 teams are actually going to continue their form. So I think Bury won 1, drawn 1, and lost 1 of their domestic start to the season, and obviously lost against Stalybridge at the weekend just gone. Congleton, never an easy place to go. I think Congleton were I don't know if they made the playoffs of the Northern Prem last season, but they were certainly there or thereabouts. So that will be a difficult one for them. And obviously Stalybridge have already beaten them once already at home. So 2 very difficult games for Dave McNabb to navigate.
Well, best of luck to Dave and to Berry, of course. We have a soft spot for Berry.
Yes,
So we wish them all the best. Michael Clegg's Everton Collieries are at the foot of the table and pointless after 3 games. Now, for anybody knows Michael Clegg, he's done wonders with Coles, particularly in his first tenure as manager, and people will do well to remember that if we talk about triggers.
Yeah, we do. So we've noted this in social media. People already calling for Michael Clegg to be sacked as the Collieries had a dispiriting start to the table. As we know, nobody finds it more dispiriting than people closely connected with the football club and its inner workings, because you feel a semblance of responsibility for it. And I've no doubt that Michael Clegg is probably feeling that now. But it's early days. There's still loads of time for them to turn it around. They finished a commendable spot in the table last season, and I kind of expect
the 15th was it in the end?
15th
after the struggle, wasn't it? It was a struggle, but they got to 15th in the end.
Yeah, they did, and we never really mentioned them as being relegation fodder throughout the season, and I don't expect to this time around.
No, and like I say, Michael Clegg in his first term as manager, he was responsible for getting them into the Division 1 west of the Northern Premier League as well. So, yeah, like I say, don't forget all the good work he's done. So, listen, we're going to move on to the fixtures in the Northwest Counties, and then we'll swiftly go through the FA Vars, which is most predominant in the fixtures, and then we'll move on to our league table, the much criticised league table that's been printed on social media, and we'll look at the fixtures, and we'll look at what happened at the weekend. So, listen, Friday, it's the start of the qualifying round of the FA Vars. South Leeds versus Barnton. Played at Barnton. I don't know why it's been switched, but it has. It's a 7:45 kickoff because it's a team which we're familiar with. I think I'm going to go for Barnton.
Yeah, I think me too.
Right, good. Wythenshawe versus Cheadle Heath. That's a close one. That I think Wythenshawe will just about get that one.
I think so too. Yeah, Cheadle Heath, no man's not having the. A brilliant start to the season, whereas I think Wythenshawe will take a lot of confidence from that game against, both those games really, against Vauxhall Motors.
And a Friday fixture, in the First Division North, Daisy Hill, pardon me, Daisy Hill versus Droylsden at the Ginge Power Stadium. As we know, Daisy Hill haven't got off to the greatest start. They've 2 draws, 2 losses. Droylsden have not particularly done well themselves, but I fully expect them to turn things round and get a victory there myself.
Yeah, I do too. I think that is going to be a Droylsden win, particularly after that win this weekend just gone. So I think this could be where the season starts for them.
Yeah, and like we said, we can't really go right through all the FA Vars fixtures because we'll be here all night and probably tomorrow night as well. And I can't afford to be late for training. So listen, we just pick out the ones that stand out more. So Burscough versus MSB Walton.
Yeah, Burscough win for me there. I think their unbeaten start versus MSB's indifferent start probably tells you all you need to know about that game.
Yeah, so we're going for Burscough on that one.
Most certainly. So I'm going to go with, I think this is an odd one, but Crowell Colts versus Main Road. Crowell was actually the village, and I grew up about 2 miles from there.
So go on, geographically, where is that?
So geographically, that's on the border of South Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire.
Nearest to big town that we know the name of?
Scunthorpe.
Scunthorpe?
Yes.
All right, Scunthorpe, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
they're having their first season at this step and level. And
in the FA Vars, of course, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a dark horse, but I'm going to back Crowell Colts to do something here against Main Road.
Unbelievable.
I think for as much as Main Road finished 7th in the last season, I think they've had a particularly uninspiring start to this season. I don't think Crawford could do something with that.
Another one that sort of intrigues me because I know nothing about it and I should have done a little bit of research, but Swallow Nest versus the City of Liverpool.
Amazing.
Well, we know it's a mining town because it's the Swallow Nest Miners' Welfare. So we would imagine again somewhere up in Yorkshire, because these generally are at this stage. They're all regionalised.
They are. Oh, they are a little bit more, aren't they? I mean, we were over in Selby last season for our first game of the qualifying. So Swallow Nest is actually in Rotherham, so it's South Yorkshire.
Oh well, I was right. Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely were. They were founded in 2006, and they play in the United Counties League, which I think is the equivalent of the Northern Premier.
No, it won't be the Northern Premier.
Oh no, God, it won't. Sorry,
it's only teams of steps 5 and 6, so they'll be step 5 or 6. I think they'll be step 6, won't they?
I think they are step 6. Yeah, it says here the levels on the pyramid are 9 and 10.
Yeah, it confuses me when it gets to 9 and 10s. I go off the 1 to 6, and that's how it works for me. But yeah, who are you going for there? I'm going for the City of Liverpool.
I'm going for Swallow Nest.
Right, okay, fair enough. And listen, we have to mention it because we played them last season, but Stockport Town are at home to Selby Town. Which way do you see that one going?
I'm going to go with Stockport Town. I think we were unlucky to lose to Selby Town last season. I think if we had a bit more of a developed squad, we could have done something against them. So I'm expecting Stockport Town to do the business there.
Totally agree with you. Another one sort of a little bit close to heart is CM Red Star versus Cone, because I've been up there many moons ago. I think we played in the FA. Skem played in the FA Vars, and I'm pretty sure we won round about 2-0. I might be wrong, but I remember having a fair few drinks on that day.
Of course.
Yeah, really. So, but I'm still going for Cone, unfortunately.
You're still going to go for Cone. I'm going to go for CM Red Star on this one.
Okay, nice one. Market Drayton Town versus Huffman. Huffman.
Yeah. If anyone can get in touch with us from Huffman, Halfman, and just tell us how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I just need to Google it, really, don't I?
Yeah, we could do.
But I'm going for Market Drayton.
Me too. Yeah.
Brilliant. Is there any other ones you want to pick out of there? Glossop North End versus Bacup Borough.
Oh, that'll be a decent game, that one.
Do we know what happens at the end of these games? Is there extra time and penalties, or is there extra time and replay? We don't know because they've reintroduced the replays at FA Cup.
They have. I think it's extra time and then penalties.
Right. Okay. Listen, we'll find out more about that next week in next week's show. But Glossop North End, I'm going to go for Brodie's team.
Yeah, me too.
Brilliant. Garstang versus Prudhoe Youth Club.
Oof, Youth Club.
Yeah.
God, in the fully grown men's game.
Yeah, that's the fully grown men's team.
Found out this late.
A strange one.
Yeah, very much so. I think I'll go for Garstang on that one.
Yeah, I am doing. And listen, the one that I'm going to pull out now is, for obvious reasons, Fullwood Amateurs playing their first game in any FA competition. I think I'm right in believing that. They're at home to AFC Blackpool.
Wow, so just a trip down the M55.
Yeah. I'm going for AFC Blackpool myself, personally.
I'm going to go for Fullwood Amateurs. I think given how they handed out a battering at the weekend against... Oh, God, who was it now? Was it Cone? Who did Fullwood Amateurs beat?
I'm not too sure.
Can't remember. We were just talking about this. Why do we not make notes? Anyway.
There's that many statistics in front of us, we just can't remember.
Mate, tell me. But yeah, I'm backing them to have a great day at the office. I think they're going to win against Blackpool, because Blackpool haven't had a win so far this season. I don't even think they've had a draw.
No, Right, okay, fair enough. Listen, we can't pass over this one because we've just been talking to the manager, Joey Burns there. Frickley Athletic versus Maghull. It's a tough one for them, this, but purely based on the fact that he's got a well-drilled, well-organised team that seems to be on the up. I'm going for Maghull.
Alrighty. Frickley Athletic, they play in South Elmsall, which is near Doncaster, and they play in the Northern Counties East League, which, I think that's the equivalent of the Northwest Counties, isn't it?
Yeah, Premier Division, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They finished 18th out of 20 teams, so they're not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I'm going to go for Maghull as well.
Yeah, brilliant. That's one or two little ones left here. I can't think of anything. Thornton Cleveland's versus Chesterley Street. I think I'm going for Chesterley Street.
Yeah, I'll go for Chesterley Street on that one.
Yeah, listen, we'll move on to Saturday's domestic fixtures and get quickly through these as much as we can. So Saturday, the only game in the Premier Division is Ramsbottom United versus FC Arlaman. FC Arlaman got back to winning ways on Saturday. Ramsbottom disappointed by their FA Cup exit. How do you see it going at the Harry Williams Riverside Stadium?
I think because they're at the Harry Williams Riverside Stadium, and I think Steve Wilkes will have sent a rocket up their backside.
Yeah.
So I'm fully expecting Ramsbottom to get back in business there. Right,
and I'll go along with that as well. So we're coming on to the Monday fixtures, the bank holiday fixtures in the Premier Division of the Northwest Counties. Abbey versus Glossop North End. I'm going for Glossop North End.
Yep, same. I'll join you there.
Atherton LR versus Stockport. I'm going for Atherton.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Barnoldswick Town versus Prestwich Hayes. I'm going for a draw.
I'm going to go Barnoldswick.
Barnoldswick for AJ. Chadderton versus FC St Helens. I'm seeing that going to Chadderton, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think they're going to be up there thereabouts. I think FC St Helens. I think they're going to be sort of just below the playoffs. Cheadletown versus Earlham. I'm going for Earlham.
I will say draw.
And a draw for AJ. City of Liverpool versus West Didsbury and Chorlton. For me, that's got to be West Didsbury.
Yeah, same here as well.
Exton Villa versus Litherland.
Exton.
Yeah, I'll go along with that as well. Longridge Town versus Charnock Richard.
Longridge.
Yeah, difficult one that really, isn't it? Because
it is. Yeah, Longridge. Charnock tend to spring a surprise, but Longridge are a bit Jekyll and Hyde, really. So
yeah, Longridge are currently 16th and Charnock are 11th. So where have we gone with that one?
I'm going to go with a draw.
You're going for a draw, which sounds reasonable, so I'll go for a draw as well. Now, Padiham versus Ramsbottom, this is a big game, isn't it? Up in there, that neck of the woods.
Yeah, Ramsbottom.
That's going to be a huge gate. I think that's might possibly top the 1,000.
I don't know about that. I think it would certainly top the 500. Maybe not as far as the 1,000, but I think it'll certainly go over 500 for me. I think I can't really see Padiham losing that one, to be honest. I think they're going to win that one, and I think they probably will win it in some style. And I think that probably more for how good they are, rather than questioning Ramsbottom.
I'm going for a draw. Pilkington versus AFC Liverpool. I'm yet again going for a draw. Both had indifferent starts. I'm going for a draw.
Alrighty. I think Pilks will edge that one.
Okie doke. South Liverpool versus Burscough. It's got to be Burscough for me.
Yeah, it is Burscough for me too.
Yep. And Wythenshawe versus Isle of Man. It's a long weekend for them, isn't it?
God, it really is.
I'm going for Wythenshawe.
Alrighty.
How about you?
I'm going to. Yeah, I think I'll probably join you in that. Yeah, and say Devonshire as well.
Fair enough. Go quickly through the remaining fixtures. The first part of next week on Tuesday, the 26th, Steeton play Fullwood Amateurs. I'm going for Steeton.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, and on Tuesday, in the Edward Chase preliminary round, South Shawbury United versus Wolverhampton Sporting Community. I would have said this would have been Shawbury's, but I think Wolverhampton haven't had their first win. I don't know which way that will go.
They're a bit of a weird team, aren't they? But I think I'll probably say Shawbury.
Yeah, let's go for Shawbury. Let's go both for Shawbury. Foley-Mere versus Allscott Heath. I think that's going to be a draw.
Well, it's it's a cup game, so I'd probably say
it's going to be a draw, and it's going to go to penalties, and it's going to be one pipe. Foley-Mere. What do you reckon?
No, I'm going to go Allscott Heath in normal time.
Okie doke. Well, listen, that rounds up the FA Vars fixtures and, of course, the league fixtures as well.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to the Liverpool County Premier.
Yeah, we will.
Well, move on to our match first of all. Before we discuss tables and fixtures, because there's not really much to be sort of deemed from looking at the table itself, but. What would you say to the start? We lost ever so narrowly and quite controversially in the end.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we were reasonably well matched as a team within the first half of the game. I think it was clear to see which team were a tight unit and who played together before, and which team were still getting to know each other and finding their feet. I think there were misplaced passes and communication breakdowns amongst the men in blue that perhaps wouldn't have been there in 12 months' time if they were all still playing together. I think there was some semblance of inexperience as well that sort of played a key role in the game as well. That being said, though, I think that they still stood toe-to-toe with this well-established Joey Orr's outfit, and particularly in the face of a lot of hostility as well. So there was a quite unsavoury tackle by one of the Scam players. I don't think it was, I don't think it was premeditated by any stretch of the imagination, but it did leave a Joey Orr's player needing a bit of treatment, and the encouragement of violence that kind of went on from that was nothing that I'd experienced in the North West County.
Tell me something, because I was at the other end of the pitch, so I didn't actually witness that. In terms of the tackle itself, I could see the Joey Orr's player coming rushing in, and our player just standing his ground, and yet it did. I think did he stamp on him? Is that what the suggestion was?
The studs were raised a little bit, but it was very 50-50.
I thought so.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think there was any premeditation behind it. It was just a really unfortunate coming together. But then the follow-on that that came from that, Joey Orr's players demanding that our player, be sent off for that. And then when he wasn't, there was encouragement amongst the Gerry Orr's players to crunch him and go through in every tackle, which I thought was really unsavoury. And
there's no call for that at any level of football.
Yeah.
No,
there isn't. So that was really unsavoury.
What Nick did say, by the way, Nick said that at the very end of the game that Joey Orr's went into that game stamping their authority from a physical standpoint. When they realised that Skem could equal them in that, they actually started playing the ball on the floor and actually playing some football.
Yeah, they did, and they played some football quite well. So
they were decent, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. So their striker who ended up scoring the winning goal, was a constant handful all day, physically and in the air. I think he'd already hit the crossbar and actually made a mess of a very close range chance that he had as well. So the goal itself, which was mired in controversy when Duan McKennan, who'd had a really good game at centre half, just played the ball back casually to Joe Langford to take a free kick. The referee had indicated that the ball was now active and in play, and it allowed the striker to just run onto that one and slot in as all the Skem players were just kind of standing around nonplussed. Unfortunately, yeah. So it was a hard lesson learned, really, and I think
I read it a slightly different way. I thought that D had actually sort of rolled the ball down his calf to place the ball and then kick it, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see a great deal of it.
No, I must admit I wasn't fully attuned to what was going on as well. I just saw the ball sort of going backwards, and the referees indicated, their strikers run onto it, slotted it in, and the referees given the goal. It's one of those again where the referee's interpretation of the law probably accounts for an awful lot within that. I think on the face of it, maybe Joey Oars were just about good value for their win, because we weren't able to really test the goalkeeper across the second half. So I think there's a lot of encouragement there, but I think there's already areas where I think Nick can identify as needing some improvement.
That said, there was an opportunity towards the end of the game when there was a blatant handball in the penalty area, which was turned down by the referee. And what I'll say before, you've obviously already mentioned his interpretation of the rules and what have you, but actually in the field of play when it happened, he indicated that the arm was down the side of the player, so his arm wasn't active. Now he looked very much like a Spitfire, both arms out, and definitely handled the ball. But that was the referee's excuse at the time. But it was slightly different when he came off the pitch, and like you say, he explained it to one of our supporters.
Yeah, he did. And I think it's very easy to criticise a referee in that immediate action, because they really do have to make a snap decision. They may not have seen all of it, but from what he said, after the game, it seemed like he was in a good position to see it. From my position, it looked like the player's hand was sticking out, but the referees obviously decided no. To be honest, I think it should have been a penalty.
If that goes to VAR, if that's in the Premier League, that's a penalty. Not just 99% of the time, it's 100% of the time. And I don't care what his interpretation of the laws are. He got it wrong, and there was there was people from the representatives of the league that agreed that it was a penalty all day long as well.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, I think there were aspects to this that we maybe feel hard done by, but it's these are the kind of decisions that can go one way or go another.
Listen, we're going to get more of them as the season goes along. We know that, and the old argument about them, them levelling out, and going both ways, possibly true if you're winning games. Then you might get decisions that are more favourable to you. In terms of the referee, who did he remind you of?
Oh God, he reminded me. I mean, he looked like he was getting ready for Love Island. Never mind anything else.
He was a very good-looking chap, wasn't he? But he reminded me of, because he had this sort of flop, the hairband flop. He looked a bit sort of Jack Grealish-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, in a little bit he did. He had a very dark complexion. When he first rocked up, I honestly thought he was a player, because I've never seen a referee at all look, that in shape.
Go on, you can say it, that good looking.
Well, no, I mean, just that young and that in shape for the game, to be honest. I mean, most of the referees that we've seen are, a bit older and a bit rounder, to be quite honest. So, I suppose it was good to see somebody who was physically prepared for the game. Just unfortunate that he, missed a few major turning points in the game.
Listen, I don't want to be over critical about it, because I think by and large he had a relatively good game. I think a draw would have been a fairer result. I think there was enough effort in there. I think we finished as a stronger, much fitter team. And if that's an indication of how the season's going to go, we're only going to get fitter, and we're only going to get better. But listen, we did play a pre-season friendly on Tuesday night. I was there and witnessed the game. AJ couldn't make it, but it was. If there was ever a game where you could turn around and say a 5-0 defeat was quite pleasing on the eye, then that was one of the games. And I'm not on my own in that belief. One of our former directors and financial director, Linda Bourbon, when asked by her husband, are we going now? She said, oh, hang on a minute. She said, I'm enjoying the game. So I actually turned around and said to her, it's not often you turn around and say that you're enjoying the game when we're 4-0 down. And that was probably the general consensus of opinion amongst most of the supporters. And there was a few supporters there as well. It was a very enjoyable defeat.
Was it? Yeah. I mean, from what I'm understanding from the fans who were there, is that we actually showed a bit of fight, and actually the result probably doesn't reflect how hard we played against a team the division above us, and looking worthy of the playoffs. Would you say that the team's starting to gel together a little bit more?
Listen, it's difficult to say, and I don't want to put a spoiler on it, but if you remember last season, the opening game, we played against Everton LR, who went on to win the league, and we narrowly lost to them 2-1, and we felt at that stage that we knew that Everton were going to be there or thereabouts. And we felt as though we held our own against them, although Everton were the far better team. So is false dawns the right kind of way? Listen, I think we will get better. It's all about recruitment and whether we can keep players. We know this. If we go down the same route as we did last season, where you're forced into tinkering with players early doors, then we've got a bit of an issue. The only good thing I'd say, the only advantage that we've got compared to last season, and I talked about it a little bit there with Joey in the second part of the show, is that we're not playing games Tuesdays and Saturdays, so we've got time to work on things in training, and of course then we move on to the Astro. The plastic pitches in September. We've got a great strength and conditioning coach in Josh, and we've got a great physio, Eve, who's joined the football club as well. So all bodes well in that sense. So sort of from a combined effort, it could be a promising season. And if it's anything to do with fitness, I think I've said it before. If all the players know what positions that they're playing in, and they can play in them positions well, and they're fit and strong and intelligent, it doesn't matter how much experience they've got. They could do a lot of damage in that division if it comes together at the right time. And you could certainly see at the end of the game, listening to the noise in the changing room, there's a bit of banter already developing so early on in the season. So it's early days, but we have to be hopeful, don't we? But what we're not going to do is we're not going to go around boasting and bragging because we know it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it is. I think that's probably what this season and this league is lying out to be. It's a season full of quality and full of physicality, and I think we're just going to have to develop with each game. Make sure the unity and the bond is strong, and kind of keep trying to build the squad where we think it's necessary. And obviously that job is on Nick and Barney.
We just know we've got a limited amount of games, less than last season, because there's only 14 teams, so there's only 26 games, which is 8 less than last season. So in terms of losing games, drawing games, you've got to be competitive very early on in this division if you're going to do anything at all.
Yeah.
So like I say, chopping and changing is not going to be the most helpful thing. So the first 3 or 4 games are an indicator, really. If we get it together within the first 3 or 4 games, and we can have an established squad moving forwards. There's some great players there. You mentioned Duan and a couple of other players there. With Raymond, some fantastic players there. All bodes well for the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's just looking reasonably bright. But we once again we need the support of every voice that we can get, really. So the next game is this Saturday. It's a 3:10 kick-off away at King Harry, is it?
Yeah, FC King Harry, who play their home games at St John Bosco's. Now, after the game, because of the way the kick-off times are, I was privileged, honoured enough, if you like, and grateful to go and watch FC King Harry play against MSB Walton reserves. MSB Walton, who had to come from a goal behind, managed to eventually win the game and arguably finish the fitter, stronger team. It's difficult to indicate anything early doors when you're playing your first game, but I think it's going to be a difficult game against King Harry.
Oh, most certainly. I think every game is going to be a difficult game in its own right, and I don't think we can take anything for granted in this league just because we've dropped down from the semi-pro division. It doesn't mean that we are automatically any better than these lot.
No. And Halewood Apollo, they drew 3-3 with Waterloo Dock. A lot of people are saying that Halewood will be up, there or thereabouts at the end of the season, but they only managed to get a draw. Liverpool Nalgo narrowly beat River Football Club, the new team in the division. As we know, Liverpool Nalgo finished second in the division last season, so they are one of the favourites as well. Granby Toxteth Athletic, they lost 4-1 at home to the Grenadier. The Grenadier are now currently topping the table. The controversial table that only shows one game being played. That said, East Villa Rail, Liver Academy, Daysbrook and Sefton Athletic are yet to play, but I'm assuming their games will get played this weekend. So what we're looking at, we've got Liver Academy versus the Grenadier. That's at St John Bosco as well. That's at 1 o'clock. So anybody going to watch Skem, if you get along there early enough, you can watch 2 of the teams that are featuring in our division. Like I say, that's a 1 o'clock kickoff. River Football Club at home to Daysbrook FC. That's yet again another 1 o'clock kickoff. That is at the Geoffrey Humble Stadium. Halewood Apollo are home to Sefton Athletic. They play at the Volair Halewood Stadium. That's a 2:30 kickoff. And then MSB Walton Reserves are at home to Waterloo Dock. That's at the Leisure United Simpson 3G pitch. And like we mentioned there, FC King Harry, a 3:10 kickoff against Skem United at St John Bosco. And the 23rd of, which is still the Saturday, East Villa Rail at home to Joey Orrs, and Granby Toxteth Athletic at home to Nalgo. East Villa are playing at Leisure United Geoffrey Humble, and Granby are playing at the Tiber Football Centre. So all them games taking place on Saturday, and if you box clever there, you can at least watch a couple of games, and if you just stay in situ, like I say, River Football Club and East Villa both play at the Leisure United Geoffrey Humble Stadium, so you can watch both games if you hang around there, and equally you can watch both games, Liver Academy and FC King Harry at St John Bosco's.
Alrighty, there you go. So there's your Saturday sorted.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know what. Listen, what we've done is we managed to get to Witherspoons in Ormskirk on Saturday morning at 8:30.
Yeah.
We managed to have a breakfast before we went to the game. All very therapeutic, a bit of a sort of man's coffee mental health club. I don't know what you'd call it. Like, certainly a bunch of mental people. Like, but.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got to be, haven't we? Really? There was some good humour and good banter exchanged between all the folk that went down there. Frank complained endlessly about his second cup of coffee, which he shouldn't have had.
I was high as a kite all day.
God, you were. But ironically enough, it didn't stop him from arriving last at the Anfield Sports facility as well. So
I wasn't last. I was sitting in my car attending to me emails.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you are. But we had a really good positive morning, and although the result didn't go our way, I think there was a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the football that we were playing.
Most definitely, onwards and upwards. I'm coming to the very, very final strides of the show. What have we learned this week?
I have learned that we cannot take anything for granted within the Liverpool League, despite us, coming down from the semi-pro divisions. These are clearly teams made up of unity, talent, skill, and aggression, and they're not afraid to exhibit any and all of that in large quantities. And I think the other thing as well is that if you are a player, I think the best thing that you can do is buy into a club and its manager, not just its money. Because if the project really is worth getting behind, it gives you all the more reason to stay.
And the dividends will come later.
Yes, and the dividends will come later, as Joey, as Joey told us in part 2.
Yeah. What have I learned? Well, keyboard warriors are quite funny, quite amusing. I find them really entertaining. But you know, what I'd really, really like from them is if they channel the same kind of energy into supporting a football club, whatever club that football club is, then they will be better off for having them in their corner.
Yeah, that'd be the day, wouldn't it?
Yeah, certainly would. Listen, I'll leave the final thoughts to AJ.
You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly Football Show with me, AJ the Jet, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. This podcast and all its episodes are available on all streaming services wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Amazon Music. Please rate and review each episode, as we do thrive on hearing your words and your feedback. Please also remember to subscribe to the show so that you can know when a new episode of the show has been released. We're also available on social media platforms, most prominently X and Facebook, under the banner term Speaking Frankly Football Show. And so from me, AJ, and from Frank, we will see you next week for another episode of the Speaking Frankly Football Show. Until then, bye-bye for now.